Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern. We're happy to have you join us tonight. We're going to go ahead and jump into our episode pretty quick, which feels like the thing that we've been doing this entire year. We typically don't have a lot of announcement these days, and that's not a bad thing, but I will still get my one quick announcement in for RageCon this year, and that is, if you happen to live in the northern Nevada area or the surrounding states, or you don't mind traveling for an awesome time, there is a massive TTRPG and board game convention here in Sparks, Nevada. Same thing. Camera? Is one of the cameras not on? Thank you.
Camera.
No. We're missing half the table, apparently.
It
freezed it. Well, that gets fixed. RageCon is a TTRPG board game convention that's happening here in Sparks, Nevada, June 30th to July 2nd. It is... I don't actually know how many years it's been going at this point, but it's been going for quite a long time. It's growing every year, and it's an amazing time. You can, when you attend, you can sign up in advance online to play games that people are hosting, be it a one-shot of Pathfinder, or a one-shot of D&D, or a board game, or a card game, and so on. There's also panels, there are tournaments, there's a lot of different ways to win prizes, there's a massive vendor area. It's amazing. So if you're in the area, June 30th to July 2nd, come check out RageCon. It's a really cool time. We will be there. Most of us will be there at some point or another. A lot of us are actually running games. Those of us that have signed up to run games so far, I believe all of our tables and slots are pretty much full at this point. But there's still tons and tons of people that you can sign up for out there, and you can even run your own as well if you'd like. And a whole bunch of our friends from Andromeda Adventures are going to be flying out here as well, and they will be hanging around the con too, and you can hang out with them if you haven't checked them out. Make sure to check out all of our socials, and then you can find Andromeda Adventures there as well. They have a stream on Thursday right now, which is called Endara the Second Age. Highly recommend checking it out, especially if you like spicy fallen angels.
Not that kind of fallen, right?
Not that kind of fallen angel. I mean, I love how I saw it happen, and it still scared me, like I'm watching it fall, and then it bangs, and like, bah! Like, seconds later. Well, anyway. Andromeda Adventures, check them out. They're a very amazing crew. We love them all to death. And a lot of them will be out here during RageCon. So come out, if you can, to RageCon. Have a great time. Otherwise, thank you for joining us for our regularly scheduled episode of PDT tonight. And we're going to go ahead and jump right in pretty much where we left off last time. So we had closed last episode with the heroes of Orishire. We'll at least say it in a fully pronunciated way. We're not shortening it or anything, but the heroes of Orishire set out on their newly acquired boat that was part of their payment for saving the city from an evil hag that was slowly invading people's dreams. Yes, payment. I was thinking of the hag for some reason as you're doing that, and I'm just like, I mean, she was like selling the baked treats that were poisoning people, and they were stealing the dreams through it and stuff, but they set out on their ship that they got as part of their payment for saving the city and doing some, other things for the city, like possible political assassination. But, we don't talk about that. But they set out on this ship, aptly named the Dragonfly, after a miscommunication with the gnome. Though we found out that is actually Dragonfly and Gnomish, so it works out. The Dragonfly? Dragonfly? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dragonfly? I think I'm going with Dragonfly, but... You know what? It's shimmery paint, so we can say that you can read it a lot of different ways as well.
Look, it has Dagon in it. Sony's fine with it.
It has Dagon. So, our amazing group of adventurers, the heroes of Orishire, set out, finally getting away from Orishire after pretty much a month there, and many, many different adventures and heartbreak and all sorts of different things. And they are headed to Quandir, which is a nation and an island that is about 3 weeks away, and they have a lot of different things that they need to take care of once they get there. So hopefully this trip is as smooth as possible and gives them some more time to relax and recover. You guys have actually been relaxing and recovering for a couple weeks, which has been nice after how crazy things were for a while. So
yeah, it was bad for a minute.
Yeah, but you guys got out of the bay. The ship is running just fine. You are making quick time already as you start to all kind of learn how your ship handles. It is magically enchanted, so it's a little bit easier for you. Thankfully, some of you have experience on sailing vessels, though, and you do have a guest who has spent a lot of her life on ship Scalea, and she is there to help you out as well. But it's kind of shifting into the evening now of that first night where we left off last time, so we will say it's just a little bit past the time that most of you probably gathered and had dinner and starting to consider going to bed for the night. The ship, while enchanted, cannot drive itself, so you will need to still keep a somewhat traditional watch structure throughout the night to not only man the ship, but, keep an eye out for storms and any other things that might be out there. And before we get to that discussion or decisions, somebody go ahead and roll me a percentile dice for the ship's weather. Or the weather upcoming.
Been going told, apparently.
Okay.
Thank you, Vander.
Of course.
Some treetops sticking together. Yes.
I mean, depends on how well you roll.
The shit comes apart.
It has saucer separation. See, the Star Trek stream's still in my head too much. But that's a long stare at a paradise.
I think it's 2.
You think it's 2. Is it the classic how to read a percentile dice?
Zeros.
Yeah, 0 and a 2 is a
2.
2.
Is it 2? A 2. A 2.
Whirlpool? Like,
If I was
Whirlpool?
calling a divine being to assist us, I would be doing great.
Yeah, I mean, yes, if that was a divine intervention roll.
Situationally, this is a great roll.
Situation. So as you've all been taking dinner together, storm clouds have been building and the temperature has dropped steadily. It looks like you might be getting some snow, but you don't really have high winds and the clouds aren't dark or anything like that. They're just kind of gray, and it just looks like there might be some snow in the air. So not drastically, not anything you should have to drastically worry about.
what's like home?
Yeah, for you especially. So how are you going to handle watch tonight? And is there anything you're going to try and accomplish this evening before settling into bed / your watch rotation?
I'll take first watch.
I mean,
Second?
I'm not going to sleep anyway, so... Well, you all have a fantastic evening watching the eternal darkness abyss that surrounds it, and it's really quite comforting. I'm gonna go to sleep. I like the stars.
Not that you have too many of them tonight, it looks like, but
That's true. It's all
Yeah.
just white.
yeah. But I mean, under a certain lighting, snow could be considered stars. So depends on how the weather plays out. All right, so you guys have a watch order for tonight, which is 3 of you, because somebody bailed, which is fine. Because
Somebody doesn't sleep. So.
yeah, I mean it
One
works.
of us only needs 4 hours.
I mean, yeah, all you special people, so special. Anything that you want to accomplish though before you guys settle in for the night? As I said, the weather seems like it's getting colder. Might be some snow, but it is stable for the moment, so you shouldn't need to take any measures like battening down the hatches and securing the ship and stuff like that. So anything else that you want to do before you head to bed?
I know we mentioned this last week, so I'm just gonna kill some time kind of studying like the enchantments a bit more and trying to figure out exactly like how much work has gone into this boat and what the rest of it does beyond what Kavita already explained to them.
Okay. So not kind of reverse engineering it in a way, kind of just probing it, wanting to know
just kind of
more.
probing and trying to understand it more than taking it apart.
Okay, that makes sense. And then are you going to... You don't need to sleep, but are you going to just like go into your quarters and launch into that? Or are you going to wander around the ship and do that? Like what? How are you
just
approaching?
kind of like picking a point on the ship and working out from there.
Okay. Any point in particular? Because the enchantments are everywhere, so you can start wherever you
I'd
want.
say she'd probably start at the bow where she had her little blessing, just to kind of because she already has a sense of that, so that's
Okay.
something she can pull up and not be completely overwhelmed by.
So would it be accurate to say that you're going to just be on deck all night then?
For at least a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Most of the night then. Okay. Cool. Well then yes, you can set off and do that. Anybody else? Things that you're doing before we settle in for the night? Nope. Okay. So I take it then you are on deck near the bow taking a look at the enchantments or starting the rune work required to look at the enchantments. Kree, you just went to bed?
Mm-hmm. We're gonna process this long journey one step at a time.
Oh yeah, okay. But so didn't try to read or anything, just went down, tucked into bed, closing eyes, trying to fall asleep?
Mhm.
Okay, that's fine. Vander, what about you?
He usually will meditate before he goes to bed.
Okay. Skalea is sleeping in the sleeping bag on the floor. She was actually, by the time you got back from like eating and working at watch with everybody, like you two were separated for a little bit, and you see that it's not really a sleeping bag because technically in D&D, I mean, we do have sleeping bag-ish things, but it's a bunch of blankets that she's obviously used before in the field as a sleeping bag, and you can tell a lot of the quilts are pretty old, and some might even be heirlooms because they have a lot of elvish designs on them. But she made a little cocoon at the side of the bed on the floor and stole a pillow and is fast asleep as far as you can tell. She is an elf, but maybe she's meditating or something, but her breathing is heavy and her eyes are closed when you get back in to meditate. So
Scoop her up and put her in the bed. Easy.
are you trying to be sneaky about it?
Be careful.
Make a dexterity check, monk.
I'm good at that.
It's not a charisma
Famous
check.
last words. Yeah, it's not a charisma check. What is it, monk? Tell me.
9.
9?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
My dice don't like me lately.
Apparently not. Not when you're trying to woo the ladies. Oh wow, that's even worse.
They're just awkward.
Yeah, so they're just very awkward.
Break my ship.
So you try your best to be sneaky about it. You slip your arms under her really easy, pick her up. You immediately, the first thing you actually notice before anything happens is you get hit with a really floral scent that in a way does remind you kind of that tea shop that you two had gone to, the coffee tea shop, and where you had found the tea that bore the mark of your master's family. The blankets just seem like they have that smell kind of baked into them at this point. So again, maybe family heirloom, maybe that's what's in her bag or something, but it's really floral and it's like enough to give you pause for a second of like, where's that coming? Oh, it's the blankets. But you're able to put her on the bed. What you notice, though, in your not so subtle efforts to pick her up and drop her on the bed, or put her on the bed, you're not dropping her, obviously. She's stiff as a board when you do it, so she's obviously not asleep. So she was like, "Oh shit!" and got like all nervous. But she still pretends like she's asleep the whole time. So you're just like, shit. But yeah, so she keeps pretending to be asleep. So, are you gonna go meditate?
He's gonna go meditate. I don't even think he's aware.
Oh no, probably not. Well, actually, make a wisdom check. Come on, monk.
Oh, that's not a good laugh.
I mean, I got a 10.
Yeah, Vander doesn't really clock what's going on, so he's just like, hey, I put her on the bed. She's gonna be more comfortable. Very much Vander thoughts. So, okay. All right. Go ahead and make a perception check for me. Steering the ship, anybody that has taken a chance at the helm at this point, which is just Sonny and Cass right now, I believe, you don't need to do the check again once you eventually just understand kind of how twitchy the wheel is and the enchantments and stuff, so you don't need to roll for that, but this is just a general perception check for your time at watch.
An 8.
Holy shit, it's gonna be one of those nights. Well, thankfully you don't see anything. Or at least you think you don't see anything. But you're a couple hours at watch pass uneventfully. The sky continues to grow gray, looking like all sorts of bits of woolen pieces building in the sky, and eventually little bits of crystal snow eventually float down and start to coat the deck of the ship. But it's gentle. There's barely any wind. Thankfully, the enchantments on the mast of your ship continue to provide a steady breeze, though, so your speed doesn't decrease, and it's a pretty easygoing time for you. And while you're up there, the only thing that you really notice is Sonny kind of ambling around the ship up at the bow kind of thing, and I assume that you either told her what you were doing or she just discounts this as Sonny being Sonny at this point. But
Would you have told me?
I mean, I think she was pretty excited to poke at this thing and might not have said anything to anybody.
Sonny's being Sonny.
okay. Sonny, make an Arcana check for me while you're up there during Cass's watch.
22.
22?
Mhm.
So, starting at this very spot that still bears a bit of the kind of copper dark blood that was left. Well, no, what kind of blood does Sonny have again?
It's a lot more like purplish.
Purplish? Well, it would still probably turn pretty dark, though, when it oxidizes. So you start near the oxidized blood mark of your ritual that you had done a couple hours ago, and you just spend some time focusing on the arcane current within the ship and even just the ocean, and spend some time separating them from one another and kind of tracing down the very specific planks of board that probably have runes on one side of them. You can't see them, they gotta be there somehow. Or they were enchanted using a different method, a while ago. And what you can tell is, while this ship was built by traditional shipbuilding means, enchantments were used on it, from everything to make it watertight, to reduce the weight of it, to whatever is powering this kind of weird energy in the mast, and it is definitely a work of art the more time that you spend looking at the runes here. And it's kind of weird that for a whole bunch of council members that they would have gone to these lengths to, spend this much time enchanting this and putting this love into it. It really does kind of seem like this is a ship that a group of arcane practitioners would have made, or maybe it's like, the life's work of a shipbuilder that is also a wizard or something like that. So it just strikes you a little bit odd that if it was for council members, they could have stuck like an enchantment on the mast and done some basic stuff, but they didn't need to put the love and care into this ship that you're kind of unraveling or tracing the path of.
Yeah, and as she's like figuring this out, she's like visibly getting more and more excited and like moving on to the next thing.
You just see the excited fish lady, shark lady, up there at the bow of the boat, like making little trails through the snow.
I mean, it's very entertaining.
I mean, it is. It's definitely more than just standing up there in the snow and
It's
everything.
probably like the most actually excited she's been in weeks at this point.
Yeah,
Good to see.
yeah. That definitely is something that Sonny needs, is a bit of happiness and relaxation and not worrying about things right now. So I completely get that. I should not read chat because I don't even want to know half the things that y'all are talking about. But so your watch goes without incident. Time comes to trade off. Vander, you probably meditated the whole time, right? Or did you try to go to sleep? Because meditated the whole time. So you two can swap off. When you come up onto deck, Vander, you see the same thing of the somewhat giddy shark lady wandering around parts of the ship, poking at it randomly, and you can tell that she's doing something with magic. And you take over. You have not steered the ship yet.
Never once. This
So-
hasn't steered anything.
Yeah. It never steered anything. Okay, well, Cass, I assume, wouldn't have left then at that point, because you're one of the people that hasn't done it yet. So go ahead and make a dexterity check, yet again.
With advantage because I'm helping.
Sure. That actually, yeah, that checks. We'll say.
I can't.
I mean, he needs it, apparently, so.
Yeah. Well, I got a 12.
Did you roll with advantage?
I did.
You got a 12 with advantage?
Yeah.
I have a +6, so.
Damn.
Tells you something.
Oh, come on, monk boy. Your mind is elsewhere. Your mind is elsewhere, obviously.
Low for a few sessions.
Yeah. Well, as you take over, Cass is kind of standing there with a hand like poised to like grab part of the wheel if needed. And she does need to at first because the ship starts to kind of jerk as you take over and give it too much give it too much slack. I can't think. Yes, Kutzpah. Oh my god, I should have taken my ADHD meds. I apologize. But yes, she has to help you catch the wheel. And the ship kind of veers for a moment, and, Sonny doesn't even seem like she fucking notices at all. But,
She's got her sea legs.
yeah. But downstairs, you bang your head into the back of the bed, and if you were asleep, you get woken up as you get jostled around a little bit, and then the boat settles back down. So.
And it's crazy, so there's like yelling. And unintelligible, just.
Mhm.
Sure.
But after that, you have control of the ship. So Cass, retire for the night?
I'm gonna go up and just be like, Sonny, what are you doing?
There's improvements all over this thing. It's really fascinating, actually.
Oh, that's cool. Anything like good?
I mean, for ships, yes. These boards, they're, They're laid in to be watertight, right? But they're also enchanted for it, so that nothing should seep through, even if they start to stretch.
That inspires a lot of confidence. So I'm very pleased with that.
It's fascinating, really. I mean, even like my father's ship is not nearly this enchanted. He's the high priest, so it's a little interesting that people running a city have so much magic in theirs. But it's our ship now.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we could, once we get through all of our business in Fondue, we could go to your village and you could be like, guys, look at the enchantments on here. And then your father's ship could also be super enchanted.
I'm not sure if they would be able to copy this. This was somebody's project, I almost think.
At the very least, you could show it off. Be like, look, Dad, I've acquired this cool ship. The Dragonfly.
I think he would be very happy with it. Yes.
Cool. Alright, well, I am going to hopefully get more sleep than I did last night. And I will skip off.
Get some rest, yes? If you want to talk later, just let me know, okay?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Alright.
It's the SS in touch with our feelings. Do you retire? Okay. Roll a perception check during your watch, Vander. Please God, roll a good die. I believe in you. I believe in you so hard. Yay!
14.
Okay, not stellar, but not too bad.
Not terrible.
Not terrible.
We're creeping up.
We're creeping. The average is slowly rolling up. So, Sonny, are you still going to keep poking at the ship, or are you going to do something else during this watch?
Unless something else catches her attention, because this is the first thing to genuinely excite her for a little
Yeah.
while, and as long as she sticks to light activity, she doesn't have to sleep.
Yep.
So.
Okay. She keeps poking around.
Mhm.
So Cree. Just remember, I love you. So while you're asleep, in your dreams,
Oh no!
call back to the Hague and Orashire. Lots of things happen to poor Cree in their dreams. So
It's gonna be eaten, right?
Say what?
Gonna be eaten.
No.
That bad. Sonny's not kissing anybody this time.
Yep,
Right.
that you know of. Sonny and Vander actually making out upstairs, and
Oh no, you're canoodling!
I still need to make the canoodling supercut so bad. I want it. I need it. So while you're asleep, you eventually do fall asleep, and the bed in your rather stately quarters, even though they're not super decorated, they were made to be, for council members. So this is probably one of the more comfortable beds you've slept in a long time. And you do fall asleep rather quickly, except the one jostle where you kind of get banged on the head by against the headboard. You're awake for a couple seconds, you fall back asleep, and you drift off into dreamland. And eventually, your dreams shift and bounce kind of with the ship on the waves, and all of a sudden you're on the deck of a storm-tossed ship. You know it's a dream. You know it's not you. It's definitely a third-person sort of dream where you're watching something happening, and you see a massive ship. It's definitely not yours. It's some kind of a trader ship, and it seems to be caught up in the middle of a horrific storm, and you can hear the crew yelling back and forth kind of unintelligibly in a couple different languages. And you see several bright yellow lights bobbing in the distance on all sides of the ship. And the more you listen and the more you pay attention, it seems like the voices are yelling about the lighthouses. And you notice that there's at least 6 yellow lights in the distance right now. And it seems like they are panicking and confused as to where they are and where the lighthouse is and what the sources of light are. The dream kind of cuts around the ship as the sailors struggle in the storm, the confusion mounting, and at one point you see a massive dark wave crash over the bow of the ship and sweep someone off into the ocean. And even though she just seems like a dark-haired woman that is quickly swallowed by the sea, you notice that she has a distinctive red kind of tri-point hat on that goes with her as she's sucked into the ocean, and the crimson red of it kind of sticks out in your dream. After that, a bunch of chaotic images that you can't really decipher, but eventually you see, you hear the sound of cracking timbers and roaring water, and your vision kind of plunges below the water level of the ocean in this dream, and you see hanging underneath the ocean pale, rotten humanoids in tattered clothing reaching for you with clawed hands before you wake up.
Humanoids, not like humans that have just been bloated. Like these are creatures.
Kind of humans that were bloated.
Oh.
It looked like there's something more to it, but it isn't like a different creature. It's like humans that had something happen to them, a horrible fate befall them, sort of thing. Cass, you have the same exact dream.
Excellent.
Yep, so does Skalea. But on deck, while this is happening, Sonny and Vander, you both notice, and well, first you hear it. You hear kind of just the little of the canvas sails of the Dragonfly start to lose power. The air like falters for the first time since leaving bay, and you hear a kind of powering down sound, like a deep thrumming that kind of quickly fades off, as it feels like the enchantment is disabled or shut off somehow in the mast and the ship quickly slows down to a dead stop. And as this is happening, as you're processing that this is happening, a thick fog seemingly coming out of nowhere rolls in from the south and kind of quickly goes over the deck, and any sources of fire that you guys have out right now, like just the standard running torches and stuff like that, everything flickers out, and within the span of about 10 or 20 seconds, you're dead still in this quiet fog.
Sonny?
World?
I'm gonna wake the others.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
You hear Kree crashing into every surface. They're like trying to get out of the room and upstairs, but can't see.
He'll open the door for you. This way.
So...
And as Vander opens the door, the thick fog spills down the stairs.
What's happening?
I could not tell you, but you need to get up. Let's go.
Uh-huh, yeah, okay, yeah, let's go. Look over the board.
And he's gonna go to Cass. Open your door. Are you awake?
Painfully.
Come on. We need to get up.
Okay. What's going on?
I do not know, but please get up deck.
Okay. Go.
I'm sick. He'll go wake her up.
So you go into the room, you find the bed sheets and quilts that she was wrapped in her makeshift cocoon scattered about the bed as if she thrashed at some point, probably with the bad dream. Otherwise, she's laying there somewhat askew and has a bit of blood running out of her nose.
Oh god. Panic, trying to wake her as gently as he can.
Not waking up through traditional means. She's breathing, obviously. You even in your panic, you can quickly notice the steady rise and fall of her chest. But if you you can make a medicine or intelligence check just off the cuff.
I'm better with medicine. That's a 14?
14? You're not certain by any means, but the trickle of blood out of her nose and the way that her eyelids are kind of fluttering even though they're closed reminds you of the way that she kind of looked after the accident happened with trying to send the message to Matilda. Not as bad, obviously, like it's a small trickle of blood kind of thing, but it seems like she's caught up in a dream or something maybe similar, but she's breathing.
Oh, yeah. Gently scoop her up and just run upstairs.
Okay.
He has enough to do.
Are you Princess Carrier, or did you throw her over her shoulder?
Sort of like an in-between. Since he's so big, he can...
Oh,
carry
kind of.
on on.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Just go like that. Yeah, okay. So you head back up, and all of you are now on the very quiet deck of the Dragonfly as this fog kind of ebbs and flows over the ship. The temperature is stabilized, though it is, still colder. You don't see any of that snow that was falling earlier, except for the little bits of it that are left on the deck right now.
Is everyone alright?
So you won't want to wake up?
Oh,
What? Again?
I don't know. And he'll, lay her on the ground.
As you do that, a pale green glow starts to kind of coalesce through the fog. It starts out at sea and kind of just flows almost naturally like water would up and over the ship and kind of gathers on the deck around you all. And eventually, well, I mean, sorry, in the span of seconds, it takes the shape of a ghost-like creature that's standing near the mast. So not in the middle of you guys, not blocking you from each other or coming up between you or anything, but over by the mast, this form slowly twists up from the fog and takes shape. And at first, it looks like an old man wearing a rag over his head tied in the back with a series of rings along it. But quickly, it begins to take the shape of a dozen different bodies and forms, pieces of it changing into different people, and it's kind of a blur, an amalgamation of a lot of different people. And whoever it is at the moment, whatever hair it has, the hair kind of fans out as if it was underwater and it just floats there. And the eyes of this creature seem distracted and not really focused on all of you, and is like kind of looking around the area in that very distraught and lost sort of way.
I would like to cast a Divine Sense to detect good and evil, and sense anything affected by the Hollow spell, note the location of any celestial fiend, undead, within 60 feet that is not behind total cover.
So, you've cast Divine Sense a decent amount just in your time with the party, and you've had experience with beforehand, and you know that it is not as simple as the instruction manuals and clerics would tell you, and there's usually a lot of nuance to it. So when you cast it, you see the normal things. Pretty much in this group right now, just the fact that Sick kind of reads as a celestial, but we've talked about that before when you've used it. It's that's happened. But the ghost reads as undead, but it's if undead could be perceived as seeing it wreathed in like a dark lich green, it flickers. It's not stable kind of thing, like, there's a skeleton over there, it's glowing bright green, it's undead kind of thing. It's showing as undead, but it's obviously not stable as undead for some reason. But it's not affected by the Hallow spell. You do notice that the entire ship counts as a consecrated object, though. And the ship is glowing very brightly, and annoyingly so at first once you cast the spell, but eventually it fades off. But the whole ship technically was consecrated by some individual of some faith at one point. Yep.
Sonny,
Yes.
is this like normal for your people? Is this possible? Like, is this ritualistic for the
I
journey?
haven't usually seen this, no.
Okay.
You never experienced anything like this.
I mean, I've seen spirits, but nothing quite like this.
As you're all talking, you hear the ghost finally say something, and it's not really talking at any point, but it's more so groaning in a dozen overlapping voices, and it goes, "Hell!"
What do you need?
It flickers between a whole bunch of different faces again, and its eyes still not meeting yours, and you hear, "Drowned at sea."
You're lost. Oh,
Like what?
You want to go there?
Lighthouse. Monsters.
Oh my god, guys, I had a dream about this where what?
Go on.
Where this ship was caught in a storm and this person got swept overboard and there was these 6 lighthouses in the distance. And
She's in danger.
Who?
She.
Points to Scylla.
No, she. Overboard.
does she have a red hat?
Yes.
Oh, crap! I turn into the person that I also saw in the dream.
Ah, yes, that.
And you just see the ghost finally make eye contact and just kind of nods as the eyes flicker between those of a dozen dead individuals.
do you know how long ago this was?
Days.
I'm thinking first survived for days, drowned.
Oh, she's alive. She's in danger.
Underwater?
We drowned. She didn't.
So, do you know where she is?
You see the ghost start to lose cohesion for a moment. But eventually, the original shape of the older man seems to pull it back, and he goes, "Hawksbury."
Do you know what that is?
Why does that ring a bell?
A ship?
Town.
Okay. Land. So
Save her. Reward. Save her, please.
I'm feeling so inclined to acquiesce this request.
And as this is happening, nothing actually, you're all still standing there. You're watching this happen in real time, but kind of like overlaid on reality for a moment, you kind of get these brief flashes out of the corner of your eyes of a like slimy cave that has this chests and chests of gold in it that are dripping wet with moss, and you can kind of smell the brine even more so than you just do on the deck of the ship, and feel the cold oppression of this cave for a brief moment before it's gone like a phantom out of the corner of your eye, and by the time that you refocus, the ghost is gone. And the fog slowly starts to ebb off the ship and evaporate.
They're being held by it, I think. Yeah, where's Foxberry?
Oh, you guys figured that out. Padding.
You guys figure that out.
Yeah, we'll take a look at this casket you help Vanguard with. So I
Yeah.
actually have an idea. I'm sorry, Skelea. I'm gonna cast Detect Thoughts on Skelea
Mm-hmm.
to see if is she having the same dream? Is she like struggling with something?
Like fighting a hag.
Yeah.
Happened one time, Creed. Come on. So you're going to cast Detect Thoughts. So she is unconscious and cannot resist it. Does that mean that you are immediately going to push? I assume you're not going for surface level thoughts.
Unless I get something significant from them, I'll push. And being concerned.
Yeah. So, well, when you cast it, the first thing that you get is you do see the dream, like the ghostly remnants of it in your just oh god, forgetting terms really quick. You see, so when you cast the spell, you kind of disassociate and just stare as you feel like this person's thoughts play out, and you can kind of see them sometimes. You immediately get the feeling and the vibe that she is still in that dream. Do you push?
Yes.
You push, she fails, she can't make a wisdom saving throw right now. You gain insight into its reasoning, its emotional state, something that large looms in its mind, except that looms large in its mind. And you can just tell, yes, she's stuck in the dream. And the dream seems very different now that you're able to see a bit of it. And it seems like she's on the same ship that you saw. The dream has played out, though, and it's just crashing around the ocean with her kind of standing on the deck looking lost, kind of thing, like she's in the middle of a nightmare. And it feels to you like it's looping.
She's stuck in the dream. It's repeating for some reason. It's not letting her go.
You can make an extra check for me, please. As you're kind of processing this, you can make either an Arcana or an Intelligence check, whatever you want to make for this situation.
She is out of date.
That's all good. Sonny, go ahead and make a history check as well as this is all playing out, as you're looking over the maps, because you don't see a town by this name listed on your map.
Nat 20.
Well, that'll do it.
At least someone can roll.
No, yeah. As much as you pour over the maps that you have, Hawkesbury doesn't show up, but you do recall a conversation that you overheard on the Orishire docks a while ago from some group of individuals that had just deboarded a ship there, and maybe you had heard it also when you were on Sykes' ship, but it's a very, very, very small coastal town that is on your path to Quandir. It's at the very, very tip of the continent that has Orishire on it, and you're probably near-ish the area right now, best you can tell.
So we kind of started swinging east. We probably find it.
Yes, because the continent, like, Orishire's here, continent ends right there, you're probably, like, up here, and then, yes, if you swung east, it's probably at the tip
And
down
I imagine, like, even with the clouds, probably just enough star I can kind of figure out, like, where we are right now.
The clouds are actually clearing up. Like, in the time that, even in this short time since the ghost vanished, the fog has completely evaporated, and even the clouds and the snow are quickly changing back into a starlit night, so you can navigate by the stars, yes.
Okay, perfect. I think I know where it wants us to go.
What was the results?
Arcana or what?
You can roll Arcana or Int. Just an int check.
Okay, so that'd be 20 on that.
20 on that. Dirty 20. Nice. All right. So, thinking back to when Scalea almost died due to that booby-trapped sending spell that everybody still doesn't truly understand what happened, you postulate that there's a good chance that she just hasn't fully healed from whatever happened to her, and the fact that she just got thrown into yet another magically controlled sort of dream or vision, the poor thing's body, more specifically her brain, probably isn't handling it well. So you don't know the solution to it right now, but you at least have a working theory of, oh, maybe because she's still just so damaged because of whatever happened to her, it could be kind of thing.
She's probably okay, but I think she's my.
As you say that, she whimpers loudly under her breath.
It's not pleasant though. It's not fun, but
The big pout.
but maybe we just focus on keeping her comfortable.
Maybe she should go back below deck then, especially if we're about to do something dangerous.
I'll scoop her up and take her downstairs.
So you take her back to bed.
I'll tuck her in, clean her nose.
You notice as you try to put her back into the bed, her hands are gripping into your clothing in a death grip.
Yeah, okay.
So you can pry her grip off, but it seems like whatever made her whimper made her instinctively grab onto whatever she could. So
Cleaning her up and putting her back
Okay.
to the bed.
easy enough to gently pop her hands off and clean the blood up off her nose, and there's no more blood coming out, so hopefully it was only a brief kind of thing. And she has that, grimace face of somebody that's struggling with a bad dream, and she worms around about in the bed here and there, but it looks like she's going to probably be, okay if you leave her for now. So
He'll just instinctively go about practices as a monk. All these rituals with what is the word? I can't think of the proper description for it, but where they use a lot of incense.
okay.
So he'll go about doing that.
Like purification kind of stuff.
Yes, that's it.
So then something that your master probably had shown you a long time ago.
It's more just flavor because he isn't the best.
Yeah, but it's the thought that counts kind of thing of he's like, I'm going to do anything I can. And this is this is something extra I know. And this kind of makes sense with ghosts and stuff like that. Okay. No, I got you.
That sounds like Vander's line of thinking.
That
yeah.
sounds exactly like Vander's line of thinking, and I am here for it. Okay, well, you can spend some time doing that and then eventually rejoin everybody up on deck. Sonny, did you take over the ship or what's going on?
Yeah, I think she's got the ship now that we have a rough idea of where we're heading.
Okay. Well, by the time that you get to the wheel of the ship, and probably even before that, you guys just didn't notice, but the sail has already refilled with that magically driven air, and it seems like the enchantments on the ship that have driven it so far are back working at full power, and it's very easy to turn the heading of the ship to the east and start heading towards where you think this town is.
And now that we've been on the ship for a while, do I have a rough idea, like, how long this will probably take looking at the charts?
Your best guess, based on the charts and your very deep background of sailing, is that you'll probably get there in about 6 hours or so. So you can probably get there by sunup, because it's actually not that far away because you guys are following the coast till you get into the deeper waters of the ocean. So you can get there pretty fast.
Cool. We should be there around dawn if everyone wants to get some more rest. Just, devil's advocate, what if we were told to go there because it's a trap? We have to sail past the place anyway. So, be cautious and everything. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, we'll be careful. The spirit did not seem malicious, just worried and scared and confused. Right. Many.
I wasn't getting a bunch of evil energy off of it.
I think they are just lost at sea or maybe something is holding them there, or they're holding themselves here for their missing friend.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to take a look. You know, this is not something to just leave alone.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys say.
Again, I got you.
No, I believe you. This is what we do. Yeah,
Yep.
This is It's another act in the play, yes? Yeah. Usually you know where it's headed, but this is more fun. Yes. You can write it later. First crossbows.
Were you going to say something, Ray?
No, I was gonna make a quip, but I like yours better.
So is anybody going to try and sleep for the next 6 hours?
I'm gonna do the Fey version of sleeping.
Okay. Are you meditating on? Are you both meditating on deck, or are you going to your quarters for that?
Quarters.
Quarters. Okay.
But first, I will tell Sonny, hey, fun fact. The ship is consecrated. So, it's annoyingly bright.
That's interesting. What?
Something to find out once we are in deeper waters, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Because consecrated just means blessed. So you both are going to retire to your quarters and try to get some meditation in. Sonny's going to be helming the ship. What about you, Kree?
I've slept. I think I've gotten full rest, or no?
Yeah, I mean, considering that you've been sleeping since the beginning of it, I'd say that you got a full rest by now. You probably don't feel fully rested, but you have the mechanical benefits of a long rest if there's other things you want to do in that time.
The medicinal benefits of anxiety really perk you up.
Oh, yeah.
I'll stay up on the deck with Sonny.
Okay. All right. Well, then you and Sonny get to sail through the remainder of the night, and not too much happens after that very eventful couple of moments there as the night sky reveals itself once more, and you get to watch kind of a beautiful few hours tick by with the stars in the sky. And eventually, an hour or so before dawn, just when the horizon is starting to make itself, the sun is making itself known with sort of muddied colors on the horizon, you start to see the coast come into view, and eventually the entrance to a large bay. And from this distance, the main thing that you notice about the bay is that it has two massive lighthouses on either side of the entrance to the bay. And way off to the right of the bay is a very interesting rock formation that's just kind of jutting up out of the rocks that looks like it could have been, part of a massive reef or something like that at one point. But it's pretty big, and it is past both of the lighthouses to the right. Definitely wouldn't want a ship to run into that. But around this time, both of you would finish up your meditations. Vander, when you come out of your meditation, you notice that, again, Skalea has managed to twist herself up in the blankets on the bed, and there's a bit of a sweat breaking on her brow. Other than that, it could just be, a person having a bad dream if you didn't know otherwise. But she has not woken up, and there is no more blood on her face.
It's good. He'll clean up the sweat on her face.
Okay. By the time everybody gets up onto the deck of the Dragonfly, the sun is just starting to peek up over the ocean, and you all get a very good look at the small town of Hawkesbury. As you sail towards the entrance to the bay, you can tell that it's definitely what would qualify as a small, sleepy port town. In the distance, you see a massive river and a waterfall far in the distance that apparently feeds down into this bay, best you can guess. You don't know what river it is or anything, but it's a pretty beautiful sight, even though it's extremely in the distance. The bay, with the bay entrance, the lighthouse is up on top. It opens up widely right after the entrance, and you see a couple ships in there, nowhere near Orashire's level of activity, but there's a couple ships out there, as well as one that looks to be, doesn't have to be noble per se, but one of them definitely has a bit of gaudiness to it, and has, even at this distance, gold and silver lining on the boards, and the sails have all sorts of banners hanging off them of just beautiful colors and stuff like that. But this is before you get into the bay. I assume you guys are sailing into the bay? So the lighthouses, you can still see a brief glow from them, a small glow from them, but the sun is up. You don't need to sail by them or anything like that. And it's child's play for Sonny at this point to take your ship into the port. Once you guys get into the port, it takes you a few good minutes to find a spot to shore up, but there's only 5 ships here to begin with. The docks look like they could probably support 30 or more. There's just not a lot of activity. And eventually you're able to find one that the Dragonfly fits into comfortably, and working together as a team, you'll be able to, well, under Sonny's guidance, you'll be able to lash the ship to the dock and eventually drop the gangplank as well.
That's not... Do any of you know nuts? Do any of you? Thank you, Vent.
Make a dexterity check to roll it, to do a knot. No. No, go ahead. I want to see. Just for fun.
Determines if we keep the ship or not. So.
Yes, yeah.
You want to?
Vander still ties a decent knot. Not a real roll.
We live here now.
Yes, you live here now. The ship falls apart. So as you are all going about this exercise, though, of getting the Dragonfly up to the dock and getting it lashed to the dock and the gangplank dropped, you notice that the town it's small, decent amount of buildings. All of them are kind of made of the same sturdy like stone wood mix, and they all have a thick yellow hatched roofing like style on each of them that's duplicate through the whole town. You see a few people walking about in the early morning, just going about their business. Nobody seems to pay you much mind as you lash up to the dock. There is a beach over to the left of the docks as well. There's a 20 or so smaller like rowboats that have been dragged up past the tide line over there. Looking into the town, 1 or 2 more people walking the sleepy streets. You see a couple signs for different businesses, and other than that, it's pretty dead at the moment as you finish lashing the ship to the dock.
Yeah, like our new friend out at sea. Gotcha.
Ooh, I'm disrespecting the ghost.
The fanciful ship didn't look like... Oh,
Thank you guys for the raid. Hello, we're Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern. We're an actual play D&D 5e stream, and we're part of an awesome group called Mythical Family. And Mythical Family is all about creating diverse, inclusive spaces for gamers of all types in TTRPGs, RPGs, board games, all kinds of cool stuff. Thank you for the raid. We're in the middle of our weekly show, the Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern, which again is a 5e actual play stream. And our players just had a really interesting ghost encounter at sea on their new ship, and they are pulling into the sleepy port of Hawkesbury to investigate some sailors that just perished at sea and their one crewmate that may have survived. So thank you for raiding, and go ahead and stick around and check us out, and check out Mythical Family on all of our social and especially our Discord, and if you like our kind of mission statement, because D&D is just one of the many nerdy things we do. So welcome. But yeah, you guys pull up to the dock, you finish lashing, gangplank goes down.
I think Sonny's kind of like, okay, so we have some questions here, but how are we going to go about this? We probably need more of a plan than we usually have.
Real quick, the gaudy fancy ship was not the merchant ship that I saw.
No.
Okay.
No, like now that you're at the dock, you get a better look at the ship, and it's definitely a ship that has seen better days, and to hide that, they have put a lot of cheap paint and color on it, and it's still an impressive ship. You know, it's a multi-story galleon that probably has some decent armaments on it that you can tell. And since you're actually in dock right now, you'd be able to see the name beautifully done on the side. It looks like, you know, layers and layers of paint have gone over. The current paint, though, is very bright and glimmery silver. Aptly for the Silver Swan is the name of the ship, but not the one that you saw in your dream. Say what?
Is it spelled correct?
It is
It's
spelled
in
correctly.
common.
Yes, it's spelled in common. It's not spelled in gnomish.
The Dragonfly is named correctly. It's just written in Gnomish.
Mhm.
It's fair.
Mhm.
So, embrace other cultures.
The more normal approach, which I'm not suggesting, is that I could just take up the guise of the missing person and see if anyone recognizes me, but that might be really cruel or blow up in their faces. So
Yeah, we're not really sure what we say into here. Maybe we ask about the weather, or if there's been any problems with shipping. I mean, we're passing through the area. It would make sense for us to be worried about that, no matter what our business is.
Yeah.
To ask about a wreck. Imagine.
maybe not go say, hey, we saw a ghost. What happened here?
Right?
Good idea to avoid the ghosts.
Let's maybe not mention the ghost.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get our bearings first.
Okay, good. Let's see if we can find a tavern, and then we know where to go back to and figure it out. Let's see if there's a hard master we need today.
Really quick reminder, at least this time, are you guys taking the talisman that powers the ship out of the wheel?
I mean, Sonya's gonna keep that with her.
Okay, I figured, but just in case.
Mhm.
And to answer your second point, you actually noticed that and this could have been when you were dropping the gangplank, or like kind of now as you're all getting ready to head out together, I assume. At the bottom of where you put the gangplank, this is a designated spot for a ship to berth. You picked one of them. At the bottom of the general area for a gangplank, you notice that there's pretty much a donation box on an iron post that it has 3 different locks on it, and it's got a massive slot on top, and tells you that the going rate for the dock is 2 gold a day.
Okay. Well, Sonya will definitely be paying that.
Okay, so you can just drop 2 gold in the box, and it each coin kind of chink chink, and it sounds like there's a decent amount of money in it right now. So must be some sort of an honor system that some people are at least doing. So you're all going to head out together. All right, cool. So tell me what you do in Hawkesbury.
Well, we're looking for a tavern.
Well, when you make your way down the very short set of docks, in contrast to Orishire, again, this thing is not even apples and oranges. It's so weird to be in a town this small after being in Orishire for a month, because you feel you could probably run through the entire town in less than 60 seconds if you were pushing yourself, kind of thing. It's probably a bit of an exaggeration. There are a decent amount of buildings, but it is very small, and it has obviously been here on the coast for a very long time without ever getting any sort of renovation or expansion in many, many, many years. But as you all walk off this dock and are briefly on kind of a rough sandy bit of beach before getting on cobblestone. Maybe at one point it was cobblestone, but it's mostly been ground into dust. You do see that there are a couple buildings that stick out to you. One, the closest one to the docks, is a rather big building. Looks like it could be one of the oldest in town, with very dark stained wood planks making up the building. And it has a sign outside hanging that says Blood Claws Supplies in a beautiful crimson red. Kind of looks like, based on the sign and then just what you see in the windows, it's probably your, general store sort of thing. A bit further in town, the few people that you've seen walking around, 2 of them are going in and out of this building, or 2 of them go in and one comes out of a building a bit further down that has a small wicker sculpture of a witch hanging from its sign, and the sign reads The Wicker Witch in a dark purple kind of font on a faded gold sign. And that bears more of the signs of a tavern on that one. Otherwise, there's a lot of individual houses out here. There's what looks like a bar, just called the Beached Whale. And that one's closed right now. So the other tavern seems open. This one maybe has different fare, different clientele. It's boarded up and is closed at the moment.
Do the which one?
The Liquor Witch.
Okay.
And Sonya's also just keeping an eye out for, if there's anybody actually in charge around here, or keeping an eye on things, just so that you can kind of get her bearings.
Yeah, make a perception check.
13.
13? So, as you're walking around, the only thing that really stands out to you is just how obvious it is that there is nobody that's in charge, as far as you can tell, because there's nobody watching over the dock. As far as you've seen so far, there aren't any sort of official city guards. Nobody wearing uniform, nobody brandishing weapons and stuff. It seems like a very sleepy town that hasn't woken up yet, and nobody's in charge. So you guys walk through the quiet streets, and you see a couple people, opening up their houses and, yawning and looking out through the windows for the day. And again, nobody pays you any mind. And it looks like somebody has a small bakery that's starting to open up for the day too, as they throw the doors open and delicious smells of fresh baked bread pour out. But you make your way to the Wicker Witch, and again, it has a small wicker sculpture of a witch hanging from the faded gold sign with the purple words The Wicker Witch on it. And when you go inside through the doors, very well kept establishment on both the outside and the inside, even though the building is rather old. When you peek inside, it reminds you more of a homely kind of inn. The ceilings are really low. You have to duck
Yeah.
because the ceilings are, just a little bit over your height. So you have to kind of crouch with your 9-foot+ frame. The ceilings are low. It has portholey style windows and like dry racks on one wall with a bunch of fish and meats kind of drying on it in front of a fireplace. There's a female half elf of middle age or so behind the bar, and it's kind of bouncing between the bar and the very small kitchen. There's about a half a dozen people or so that are sitting at the tables. Most of them look like sailors. Nobody that really stands out to you except in one of the far corners. There's a very flamboyantly dressed tiefling that is dressed like the absolute trope of a pirate, with bright clothes and the tri-point hat, and she's got a couple people around her dressed similarly, and they seem like they're eating breakfast over in one of the far corners and talking very loudly, and seem like they might have had a bit too much to drink as well. At the actual bar, there's only one customer right now, and seems like a very grumpy older dwarf that's kind of just hunched over a keg of ale.
Should we talk to the...
Nobody pays you any mind when you come in, so.
Let's just find a table, sit down for a minute, get the head land.
Okay.
Sailors, it's like a information gold mine.
I'm sorry, what?
It's like sailors. You talk to them, they're bound to tell us tons of stuff.
I
Speaking
mean,
of
they do
pirates.
look like they do look like good people to talk to.
So
Alright.
maybe you take the pirates. We could take, at least I, or, depending on how we want to divide and conquer, talk to the actual sailors.
So you guys went to get a table first, right?
Mhm.
As soon as you pick a table, a few moments later, the kind of tired middle-aged half-elf that you saw beelines in your direction. Seems like she's half awake as well, and she throws 3 little planks on the table that have the local menu very beautifully drawn on them, mind you, with charcoal. And she kind of gives you a faint smile and nods and goes, "Good morning. How can I help you?"
Keep those. Good morning. We just put into port, so we'll take a look at the menu for a moment first.
Of course. Let me know if you have any questions.
Of course.
And she heads back behind the bar. And the menu, if you do look at it, is pretty straightforward. The main food that you're going to have access to is freshly baked bread, dried and smoked seafood, and then it does seem like a weird selection of fresh fruit. And then your standard drinks and other libations.
Miss.
she pivots around a few moments later, comes back. Yes.
Hi. Can we get a couple rolls of the fresh bread and a good basket full of the fresh fruit?
Oh, you smelled it coming down the street, didn't you? Yeah, she puts a fresh batch out at about this time. Of course, a couple rolls, and what was the other?
A good basket of fresh fruit.
Of course. Any specific type or just an assortment?
Assortment.
All right, one moment. And then she vanishes back into the kitchen, and you hear a very young voice kind of call out to her, and the pair laughing from the kitchen, and it sounds like she might have a kid back there that's helping her with stuff. But within a minute or two, she'll be able to put together the fresh rolls, and she just kind of puts them on a kind of weirdly polished plank pile of rolls with a big glob of cold butter in the middle of it, and she comes back with a bowl of very tropical-like fruit that not even Sonny would have really had this stuff before, but just kind of some tropical fruit, and drops it on the table for you all.
Thank you.
Before anyone eats it, I'm gonna do a thing, and I would like to subtly cast Purify Food and Drink.
Oh, you can subtly cast Purify Food and Drink. Make a stealth check.
I don't want to be rude.
But you're doing it right.
18.
18? Okay, nobody seems to notice.
So it is rendered free from blah blah blah.
From poison and disease.
Yes.
Not curses.
Not curses.
Hopefully not dead body.
Yeah, okay. There's a brief, just a very, very, very faint kind of sparkle through the air as casts the spell. The food doesn't seem to change in any noticeable way, but the spell is cast.
He's gonna grab the fruit. Sir,
Going into it, yep.
Yes.
Immediately it hits you how it's delicious, but it's also probably the most sour thing Vander's ever had, in a good way. But you've definitely never had this kind of fruit before, so kind of a fun experience for you, especially being the culinarian of a furblog that you are.
Should we talk to the other lady and the dwarf at the bar in a sec after we eat?
Yeah.
At least you and I. I know you probably would fare better with the
Yes, the two of us with the sailor. If the sailors and the pirates are probably the better idea.
So that there's random tables of just run-of-the-mill sailors. In the far back, there is that table with the flamboyant-looking tiefling and probably a couple of her crew members. There's the grumpy dwarf at the bar, and then there's the proprietor of this place.
Let's see. Can you speak with the tiefling? Yes. I just need to head outside for 1 second.
What are you thinking?
I was just thinking,
But
maybe
let's
not
change
change
this
this.
a
I
little
was just gonna go for June. I could just do Sony again.
Sony works.
Okay. Yeah. So I just head outside, find a corner, and
Easy enough, considering how deserted the town still is at this early hour. But yep, you can change your shape into that of Sonia, one of your prior personas.
okay. Do you want to be in charge?
I mean, I suppose I am. It is my ship.
This.
You should get a tricorn here.
Maybe.
I'm not a red one. Green.
Yeah. Purple.
Purple would also be good.
What's your color?
With a feather.
We'll figure it.
Thanks.
Eat this. He's shoving like multiple rolls in his mouth.
Yeah, you tear through them and they are amazing. It is definitely, despite the fact that Orishire has such good food, on just the average of how good the food was at the different establishments that you ate, there's something magical about this food in particular, and it's probably like that small town artisanal, they've been doing it for, hundreds of years kind of thing. Even the butter is better than normal butter, and it's delicious, so wonderful way to start the day. And around that time, she probably would poke her head back over and just ask if anybody needs drinks or anything else, as she happily sees you going to town on it. So,
We actually have questions.
questions about what?
Do you have a good breakfast ale?
Question.
We do actually. I mean, the way that I designed the menu a couple years ago was that we had ales that complemented pretty much everything. But if you're looking for a breakfast ale, I'd recommend one of the golden ales, and I could bring you some if you wanted to try it. It does. Say what?
Do you have a picture?
Yeah, I can get a picture. It goes well with the rolls that you had. Did you want more about those? Okay, fruit too.
For two?
Fruit too.
Oh, he's probably not even.
You already finished the bowl, so.
That's fair. He's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then she'll go and she'll fetch some more rolls, some more butter, some more fruit, and she'll bring a pitcher of this beer that is just bright gold and almost feels like it somehow is shedding light. And she just drops a couple of empty tankards on the table for you all, drops that, puts the food down, and kind of brushes her hands off on her apron, which is kind of a checkerboard red and black, and looks quite pleased with herself and just happy probably that people are enjoying themselves. Is there anything else that I can get or do for you folks?
Nothing. I'd want to interrupt your work. We're new in town and trying to get the lay of the land,
Well, I mean, this is my work. You're not interrupting it at all. My name's Yanya. Welcome to town. There are plenty of rooms, probably still, at the inn down the street if you need anywhere to stay. We have 2 open rooms too, but they're only single bed right now. But it's a pretty nice place to stay over for a while. How long are you in town for?
Possibly a day or two. We're sailing north, just trying to. It's new waters for us, so we want to be sure we understand what we're getting into as we go further.
Oh, have you gone across the deep ocean out here yet?
Not yet. This is a new one.
It's pretty forgiving, I would say. We haven't had many storms go through quite yet. It's not really that season, so you still have a good month or two of sailing before the big storms start to hit during the summer. But other than that, most people find it a pretty pleasant trip from what I hear. I haven't been out there myself in a very long time, but
That's really good to know.
So no storms have come by, waters have been clear and all that.
out in the deep ocean, most likely. We've had a couple big ones the past few weeks out here, but those are coastal storms, and they're to be expected. But we have had a couple bad ones. The lighthouse crews have been busy, to say the least. But then, when aren't they busy? It feels like
It's an important job, yes.
it is a very important job.
Yeah, how many lighthouses do you guys have? At least 2 on the way in, I think.
We have just the 2 that you saw when you came into port. Yeah, those have been there longer than I've been alive. 400 years or so, I think, is ish what it's estimated that those have both been there for. So,
Do you do tours?
I'm sorry?
I mean, just, if you're an enthusiast, would you be able to...
No, there's actually tours. One of the old captains, Captain Barnaby, he inherited one of them and now is in control of both of them. And he does do tours, typically more in tourist season when we get more people out here. This is kind of slow for us right now when it's just, the random assortment of ships that we get through here. But you could always talk to the captain over at one of them if you wanted to see him. But they are enchanted, and it's not like there's actual candles or oil up there or anything. They're old enchantments from back in the heyday of magic and stuff. But they are quite nice. They do help during those storms.
Oh, it sounds marvelous, thank you.
Sounds like the last storms were pretty bad, huh?
Oh, they were. And I mean, in general, they can be bad around here on the coast because we're a coastal town. There's reefs everywhere. There's Drowner's Rock outside the bay, which you most likely saw. There used to be a much larger set of coral kind of off that wrapped closer to the bay that had to be broken up over the years. And it's just, when you're a coastal town and you're not rich enough to alter the geography around the town, year after year, like some of the larger cities can, there's inherent dangers when the storms get bad. There's no lighthouses enough or enchantments that's going to stop people from getting swept overboard or ships running aground.
No, this is true. You kind of have to just find the spots that works best and stay there. You can't really make those changes, like you said.
Yeah, so we get ships in all the time that have had they've lost people at sea, or they've run aground somewhere up the coast, or even right out on the bay once in a blue moon. But a lot of locals are very trained at this point in how to handle that. So,
has anything gone missing lately, or has it been a while?
I mean, there was one not too long ago. The Idle Hands ended up going under and lost pretty much all of its crew except for Jess.
Oh, that's unfortunate. When was that?
It was about a week and 2 days ago, I think, was what it was.
Who is Jess?
She's the poor lady that was the only survivor. She's been renting a room for me since it happened, but she was apparently the first mate on the Idle Hands, and she ended up getting washed ashore a day after this storm. We had a bad storm tear through here middle of last week, and there's no wreckage of this ship. We couldn't find anything, but this poor girl showed up on the beach, barely alive, had a board under her arms, and somehow survived that storm and getting into the bay all by herself. That's a miracle, I tell you. And somebody found her and brought her to me, and thankfully we had a healer nearby who could help her breathe a bit easier, and eventually she was all right, and she told us that she was the first mate on the Idle Hands, and something happened when they were out there, and a storm was raging and almost taking the ship under, and she got swept off the ship in the middle of it, and she found herself here. So we went back out there with rowboats, and a couple times actually, and they just couldn't find any of her ship. It's a really sad story, but she's been renting a room upstairs for me since it happened. So
Well, that's very sad. I hope she's okay.
I mean, if you've ever been around somebody that has suffered that kind of loss, she's feeling a lot of guilt that she was the only survivor of this ship, and she's been having a lot of nightmares, bloated versions of the crew telling her things, and she just has really been consumed by it. We've tried to get her to talk to a cleric or two, but many nights she just drinks down here and goes on and on about her ship and everything else like that. So
Maybe we could help her.
Well, look, perhaps she needs a ride somewhere.
I mean, if you can find her, her room was empty this morning when I went to check on her, and I think she's probably out wandering around town. But I don't know where she is. But she kind of like tries to hide her gesture, and she gestures over at the bar. And Barris over there thinks that she stole his rowboat, but that's probably just Barris being Barris, in my opinion.
If we see her, would she?
I mean, average height. She's got very long, past her waist brown hair that she usually keeps up in braids. She likes red. She typically has either like a half red dress or at least a red vest with a blouse underneath. And then she does have a pretty distinctive scar down her right cheek as well. Kind of faded, but still you get close enough, you'll see it. So.
Okay.
Also just doesn't really fit in with the locals, if you catch my drift. Like, not in a bad way, it's just she is a real sailor, and you can tell her home's at sea, and she doesn't belong on land. I don't know how else to say it, but she definitely has the ocean in her blood. But I assume she's stomping around town or something like that. If you manage to track her down and make sure she's okay just because of how much me and the family are worried about her at this point, like, I would happily give you my 2 rooms for as long as you need. If you're planning on staying, but I just want to make sure the poor thing's all right after everything she's been through.
Well, thank you.
Of course. And sorry, I got completely caught up in Jess's story. Let me know if you need anything else. All right? And she kind of wipes her hands off on her apron again, just like, even though there's nothing on them, just kind of out of habit, and then wanders back into the kitchen.
That explains a few things. And so I'll just pour a glass for everybody.
I'm feeling generous. Perhaps we should look into helping our barracks. I mean, as much as I would love to talk with the illustrious crew over there, losing a rowboat sounds awful. And I frankly would really love if some wonderful troop just helped them find it.
Do you think that lady stole it?
I think it's a weird coincidence for his boat to be going missing. She's been here for the past 2 weeks, and did have visions of a certain location that probably warrants a small vessel.
But we don't really know anything about where that place is or what it was.
True. Maybe there's things.
You'll want to try it.
Sure. I'm gonna eat. It's great.
I think we should probably still know something about the other crew that's here too.
Sure, absolutely. Oh, okay, lead on.
We've got plenty of time. We can split up a bit and just meet back here or on the ship at noon.
How about
Ship at midday?
Yeah.
Okay, ship at midday.
All right. So where's everybody going?
Sonny will still try to talk to the pirates just because she feels like she has a better chance talking to other people that are more familiar with the sea.
Okay, so you're heading out over there by yourself? Or are you going with Sonia?
It's up to Sonia.
I'll still go with you, yeah.
Okay, so you two are going to head over there. What about you two?
Eat this bread with me?
I think we take it to go. But yes.
Okay, yes.
Why don't we go ask around, see if anyone has seen Jess or a rowboat?
Sounds good to me. And he'll pick up the baskets and he'll plop a bag of coins in.
Okay. So are you leaving the tavern, or are you going to go talk to the dwarf that she indicated about the rowboat at the bar? Because you were talking about going to talk to people if they have seen a rowboat or stuff. There is the dwarf at the bar that she indicated. So are you going to talk to them, or are you going to go look around town? Just so I have it right.
I think around town it sounded like they were taking the dwarf and the pirates.
No, we're talking to the pirates, so the people.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Then yes, we'll start with the dwarf.
Okay.
Berries.
Two different lines.
Okay. So, starting with the pirates over in the corner, again, there is a very flamboyantly dressed female tiefling who has a multicolored tri-point hat on, and she is probably 4 tankards deep into whatever ale she's drinking right now, and there's a large amount of food that has pretty much been completely devoured by her and the 2 other individuals at the table. Both of them are older-looking human women, and they all are wearing very sea-stained and brine-entrenched clothing, and they just seem like they're having a good time over there talking in the corner. And so how do you guys approach them, and what do you do?
I want to just first cast Prestidigitation on myself to make me smell like rum.
Okay. You smell like spiced rum. Fine spiced rum or shitty spiced rum?
Just like a lot of spiced rum
So
on my
shitty.
breath. Yeah,
Okay.
shitty.
So it smells like Captain Blank. Because we can't say that name on screen.
Or like sailor.
Sailor, okay. Sailor Sonia's. All right, so you smell like bottom of the barrel rum as you 2 wander over. What happens?
I mean, I think as they're getting close to the table, Sonny will just kind of wave and generally try to get attention and just be like, sorry, just noticed you seem to also be from out of town. It is nice to see more people that are, a bit more of the sea than of this village.
That gets a boisterous laugh from all 3 of them, and the captain kind of leans back in the rickety chair that she's in and gives you both a kind of suspicious, at first, glance as she kind of studies you briefly and goes, "Oh, we're all out from out of town. Is there anything we can help you with?"
No, just saying hello to another fellow captain. That would probably not be, quite so limited in their understanding of what's around the world.
Very quizzical expression from the captain as she knocks the hat back, and she goes, "Well, I'm Captain Crow. I've seen quite a few things in my time. I don't really get your line of questioning, though."
I'm just trying to introduce myself. Sonny Luoma.
Nice to meet you. What is your ship?
The Dragonfly, we just came in this morning.
Can't say I've heard of her. Mine's the Silver Swan.
I think we saw that on the way in, the galleon?
It'd be hard to miss it. Yes,
It
that's
would
mine.
be a bit- yes. Looks like you're celebrating something this morning?
No, just being alive and enjoying the delicious food and drink that we have available to us here. And the fact that we don't have to set out to sea for a couple more days and we get some much earned rest and relaxation. So, enjoying life, as it were, while we can, and the weather's good.
Oh, it's a very worthy pursuit, I would say.
Very much so.
This is Sonia. Nice to meet you.
He tilts the hat at you. Winks.
Ship Not Yellows has a lot of character.
You could say that, and it's earned it over many years and many different adventures.
Got interesting stories.
I love stories. Boisterous, big, epic. The louder, the better. Depends on the flavor that you want, but I have plenty of them. Usually I'm more interested in hearing them from other people, because there's not really one I haven't heard at this point in my life. But if you catch us later in the evening, once we've had a lot more to drink, you might get some out of us.
That sounds like a good plan.
The locals tend to like it quite a lot.
What sort of trade are you in?
Anything and everything that pays well, but typically spices and foodstuffs in general, just because it's more reliable, as much as I'd like to do something a little more adventurous with the cargo, but it's pays ever so bloody well.
Smart to keep freelance. Alright.
It was good.
Somewhere with that.
Ah!
I mean, no, our ship's a little bit small for that sort of thing. More just quickly getting around where we need to be, you know?
Oh, so contraband.
It probably could, but no.
Not right now, at least. But it's nice to have options, especially when you're fast.
Very much so. No, we're heading north towards One Beer next. Where are you off to?
Ugh. We're actually waiting on the shipment to show up. We don't know where we're headed right now. We just have to intercept another shipment and then take it to wherever they tell us. So most likely somewhere much warmer than this, and hopefully not headed in the direction of Quandir. Not that you have anything to worry about. The sea is mostly fine in that direction. It's just, it's empty. I don't really like that path myself much. It's boring, not as exciting as I like.
Oh, yes, certainly. And I think one thing that Sonny's doing as this conversation is going on, she's kind of just subtly checking to see if anyone in this crew at the table has any sign of, like, knowing anything about her gods. Because sometimes other sailors do.
I mean, so when you walked up to the table, the captain instantly engaged you. The other two have kind of just been following the conversation and glancing between you two. They seem like they're drunk pretty much at this point. No markings on them or anything that stand out to you. They've looked you over once or twice, but there's no sign of recognition that you can tell.
There's no recognition, I just stand out.
Yeah.
Alright, so probably can't just go ahead and say, so Sea God sent me this direction. What's plan B? Not gonna press on what their job is, but I'm gonna go ahead and with the cold weather, just like, so I heard there was a storm that sank a ship a week ago?
Was there? I mean, it was before the time that we were here. I mean, there's always some ship that went down and some horrible tale, and you know how it is if you've actually been on the sea that long.
But... Oh, I know. Apparently a survivor washed up, that's why I was curious.
Oh, not one that I've heard, but then again, I only remember the big and boisterous tales for the most part. If it's some local sob story as insensitive as it sounds, it probably didn't register in the old noggin.
Heard a lot about survivors at sea?
In my career, or while I've been here?
It's been here, if you've known it.
No, not any that I know of. It's been a pretty sleepy town for the most part, which I enjoy right now, especially with how fucking good the food is, especially
Very
here.
nice.
It's amazing. It's some of the best we've had, and we haul the shit. So, but no, it's no tales worth mentioning, at least that I've heard in my time here. Were you looking for someone?
No, just trying to, make sure things are, good, when we start hearing about strange storms and a ship going down in the last week in this area. It's something to be a bit more cautious about.
Oh, I mean, I suppose, but then again, if you're used to seeing it all the time, it's not really worth batting an eye at again, unless it is something that is truly outstanding, or it's actually threatening my ship. Otherwise, I'm not going to really worry about it. But I understand wanting to get the lay of the land, of course, so you got nothing to worry about in this town. Everybody here is very, very friendly folk, and they'll be very nice to you.
Not exactly much of a pulse in this town for people like us, adventure seekers.
I would say give it until evening at least. The town really, this is the morning right now. This is actually big for a morning crowd, but give it until evening, and then you'll see there's actually a decent amount of life, especially with the ships at dock and everybody coming off them, and then we can get a little wild at night in this town that I've noticed, so I think you might enjoy yourself a bit.
Anyone in particular besides yourself we should keep an eye out when it gets to that time?
I mean, honestly, I'm the most interesting person here, and my crew, of course, but there's always different characters. Even if they're smaller ships, there's always someone coming in and out of town, and I don't know, every night brings something a little bit new, so...
Well, it was lovely to meet you, Fro. Hopefully we will see each other again tonight, yes?
Hopefully under good circumstances, yes, and not being washed over at sea or something like that and picking each other up on one of our ships. But pleasure to meet
Ideally
you.
not, yes. Looking forward to it.
We'll see you tonight then.
Telepathically, I say to Sai,
The fucking pirates! The pirates! The definitely
Yes, they are.
Okay, just okay. Yeah, no.
Said internally, of course.
yeah, no.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So as that's wrapping up and you're both walking away, is that a good point to cut away from you two?
Yeah.
Okay. So you two fine individuals. What do you do?
I put bread in my mouth.
You put bread in your mouth.
I'm going to.
A man after my own heart.
Yes.
All the carbs.
Yes.
Oh God, carbs.
Do you need banana bread to like properly roleplay this?
No, it's yours.
Uh,
I made that for you.
Vander in real life.
Vander in real life. Yep, that's our Vander.
I'm gonna take a seat next to Barris.
Mhm.
And just be like, so I heard you lost a boat. Or it was stolen.
So the dwarf fixes you with nasty, bombastic side eye over his tankard as he just kind of glares at you for a moment, and he slowly burps a rancid, ale-filled burp in your direction before going, "You could say that."
We don't stand for thievery.
Yeah.
We don't.
Oh.
We haven't stolen anything. Right.
I think that's their heuristic.
I'm not talking about that. So we would love to help you get your boat back.
You're gonna help me go after Jess?
Yeah,
You want to follow in the footsteps of the crazy bitch?
depends. What are her footsteps?
Bitch-filled and crazy.
Right. Do you know where she went?
Yeah, she went to Drowner's Rock. At least if she was doing what she's been ranting about for the past week or fucking so here, and she has a death wish, and she's gonna take my rowboat down with her, apparently.
Lovely. Okay.
Where is Drowners Rock?
It's right when you come in the bay. If you came in through the bay, you saw it. The massive, nasty-looking bastarded rocks out there, that's Drowner's Rock. It's where the drowners are, or at least where most of us think they are. At least someone like me, I think they're there, and Jess thinks they're there, and that dumb bitch is going out there to try and get herself killed because she thinks she can stop them.
You want some fruit?
Nah, I got all the fruit I need right here.
Pretty sure that's a barley or a wheat.
This is a fruit beer. Aged fruit. Never heard of it?
Do that? No.
It's good. A little floofy for my taste, but it grows on you.
Well, if we retrieve your boat and Jess, ideally both, where should we return?
So let me get this straight. You're just gonna go out to Drowner's Rock by yourself and chase the dumb bitch.
Yes.
Do you know anything about Drowner's Rock?
It seems ominous.
You got that fucking right. I take it you're not from anywhere local then.
No. 3 times.
The fucking what?
Don't mind us. It's a forest. It's very inland.
Alright. Drowners. They're monsters. They've plagued this area for longer than any of us have been alive, and usually you can avoid them if you stay safely in harbor on stormy nights, but, not everyone does, and a lot of the time you can't help it or not, but they're these twisted, rotted bodies of sailors that died, typically because of others' greed, like Jess's in stealing my fucking rowboat, and usually it's a captain who rashly risked going out into the sea when they shouldn't have because they wanted riches and treasures, and the sea decided that it had enough of that and tore them under, and the drowners are consumed by bitterness and twisted into these monstrous things that have plagued our town for hundreds of years. And legend has it, and I've seen it, the entrance to their lair is at Drowner's Rock. I tend to stay away from there, but once or twice I've caught eye of the entrance at low tide, at least, and it's where they drag the sailors down. The drowners drag the sailors down and twist them and turn them into more of their own kind, and Jess keeps having these nightmares and keeps ranting to anybody that will hear it that they're out there and they're being turned into these drowner things, and we're trying to tell her it's too late, and she feels guilty, and she's gonna go and try and fucking save him with my rowboat, apparently.
I mean, guilt and trauma are a very heady combination.
Especially for fucking humans.
Yes. Especially humans. Mainly just humans. So yeah, okay. Well, hopefully we're successful. It would be nice to, I'm sure she's a lovely person.
She's a bitch, but that's just my opinion. I don't really go soft on most people. If you're going out there to get her, I'll fucking take you out in one of my rowboats as long as I get mine back. I don't care about Jess at this point, but I want my rowboat back. I can get you to Drowner's Rock if you want to go out.
Yeah, can you take 4 of us?
Sure, I can fit any amount.
Perfect.
I'll just have some days to change some rowboats for you fucks, but...
It's been a pleasure. We will see you at noon.
At the docks?
Yes.
Sure, I'll see you there.
Charming. See ya.
Bye.
That was really good.
Yeah. Feel the ray of fucking sunshine.
Do you condone thievery yet?
We don't.
Okay.
We still don't.
Oh.
We condone assassinations.
It's a little worse.
We steal hearts. That's the only thing we steal. Okay. Hey guys, I don't think we need to wait till noon. We got so much information.
Oh, that's good.
Jess, consumed by her guilt and the trauma of losing her crew that we would know nothing about, has gone to Drowner's Rock to save her crew and or drown.
Alright, and we're certain about this?
Yes, apparently she's been talking about it for a long time.
We didn't learn anything.
Native Red?
Well, we have a contact.
Yes. No,
Right.
yes. Just not direct. Anything about this place?
So drowners are apparently these monsters that have been plaguing the town, and they're like bloated human bodies. It's what we saw in our dream. And she's trying to keep her crew from becoming them. Which worthy goal. Don't want friends to become monsters. So yeah, the creepy ominous rock is truly creepy and ominous.
It kind of looks that way, yes.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Suppose any of us have any method of not drowning, if that is the biggest threat.
I mean, not for the rest of you, I'm sorry.
I'm a decent swimmer.
Okay. The
you-
armor might be a problem though.
Oh, yeah. I could ship me out of that if needed.
What's there like a local custom for divers or something, right? You know, like
All I know is the okay symbol and the go up for air.
yeah, I mean, we should definitely do that. That's gonna be But I was thinking more of like either a know of the land of like where you might find pockets of air, or maybe something that literally would stop you from drowning. Like magical stuff.
Underwater caves are a thing where there are pockets of air in them because of the pressure. That's all as far as I know. So maybe that's one of them.
We have a hydrate.
We have a hydrate. Who was it?
Let's go.
Thank you so much for the hydrate. I will hydrate momentarily when we go on break here in just a second, because I don't have a drink in front of me. But we still appreciate the hydrate. And they always make sure I drink, whether I like it or not. So thank you. But on that note, we can go ahead and use that as an opportunity to pause, as you guys are kind of regrouping over in a corner of the tavern after you've talked to your relevant parties and laying out the plan on what to do with the rest of your day as you investigate Jess and what happened to her ship. So we're going to go ahead and go to a really quick break. Typically it's 10 to 15 minutes, and we do something fun here on Mythical Family. At least we think it's a fun thing to do once in a while. And what we do is we leave our mics on. So we're going to kill the video. We're going to go to our standard, Twitch break screen, but we leave the mics on. So if you want to chat with us, ask questions about the stream, Mythical Family, or just random stuff. We've had a lot of great random questions. I can never think of one, but we've had them from, what's your favorite food, to a million different things. So go ahead, hang out with us for a few minutes if you want. Go get a snack or a drink yourself, but we'll be back in 10 to 15 minutes and picking the story back up for the rest of the stream tonight. So we'll be right back. See you soon. Talk to you right now.
What drink you want?
If you can find one for me, I don't think there's anything over there. Dealer's choice.
No, pineapple does not belong on pizza.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. They're gonna fight.
Oh,
It fully belongs with the right other toppings. Like, you need something to balance it out, like pepperoni or jalapenos or something.
I just think the pineapple and the tomato and the cheese, that doesn't really go together. Like, cook pineapple, otherwise it's great. I mean, look,
Cheesecake is a thing. You know, you put pineapple on cheesecake.
but
That's
it's
appropriate.
different than melted mozzarella and Parmesan.
Yes. The objective answer is no, but we can discuss it all you want, lady.
It's hot dog.
Berries do not belong on pizza.
Who puts berries on pizza? Well, I've seen some good dessert.
That's
pizzas.
what a pineapple is.
It's fair.
I mean, okay. So, but a tomato is also a fruit, sir. If you're gonna go
But
to
it's
that,
not a berry.
it's not a berry, but it's a fruit.
Well, I didn't say fruit.
If
doesn't
we're
belong on a
gonna
pizza.
go down
But
that.
berries do not belong on a pizza.
Yeah. Okay.
I personally am of the thought that a hot dog is a type of sandwich. A taco is not, but anything served at Taco Bell, I don't know, I keep looking at the camera. Anything served at Taco Bell is a sandwich. It is not authentic.
You like
It's-
coffee? You want coffee?
Sure. They got coffee. over
Sweet
there.
do you like coffee?
As sweet as my personality.
Okay, so nothing but sugar.
I think that's a compliment.
So it's like now we find out what Ray really thinks.
Yes. Well, there's a comic. I think I don't know if it started as a Lore Olympus comic specifically, or if it was taken by Lore Olympus, but it's Hades and No, it did. It wasn't a Lore Olympus one. That Dark is My Soul one, right? That's just a comic that got
That's Underworld.
Punderworld.
It's a
Okay.
different one.
Yeah, comic from Punderworld. Do not know what that comic is, but where this dark evil character is being asked by their bubbly aide of like, how would you like your coffee? And the evil person goes, as dark and as bitter as my soul. And the girl laughs and she goes, oh, so what is it? Like
Milk? A glass of milk?
a glass of milk? Yes, that is just the line. She laughs and goes, a glass of milk then, and the guy cracks a smile. And I love that so much. As dark and as bitter as my soul. So a glass of milk then.
Anything served from Taco Bell is a sandwich. How could you say something?
Oh God, we're gonna start talking about that sandwich theory website. Everything's a sandwich and stuff, or however that goes. I don't even know what it is, but somebody always links it, and it always comes up about hot dogs and how all these different things are sandwiches, and just
Yeah, we have several very good Mexican restaurants here in Reno as well.
We do.
We have a large assortment of Mexican restaurants. However, sometimes Taco Bell is what's open.
sometimes
That's what
Taco
you
Bell
can
is
get
what's
without-
open.
What you can get without getting out of the car.
Taco Bell is, I want a lot of food. Just
Hey.
give me a lot.
Hey. There's nothing wrong with Taco Bell, thank you very much. It serves a purpose. Is it gourmet? Fuck no. Does it make a lot of people shit their brains out? Totally. But does it serve a nostalgic purpose for some people, like from college days, including me? Totally. If I had to pick shitty fast food out of McDonald's and all of them, I'll pick Taco Bell 99% of the time. But considering the bumfuck area of the United States that I grew up in, Montana, we didn't have a Taco Bell. So what I grew up loving and was ecstatic to find out is down the fucking street from our studio is Taco John's, because the only thing we had in Montana was Taco John's, and their potato olays with the melty cheese are amazing, and I wish I had some right now. So that's my version of Taco Bell that I grew up with. And I tried Taco Bell and I was like, oh, this is what everybody was talking about?
And sometimes you just want Taco Bell for Taco Bell in the same way that you can, like, be in China and be like, I just need some orange chicken in my face.
Oh god, Baja Blast is amazing. And as somebody that just had McDonald's like last week in Carson for the first time in years, I don't know what McDonald's did, or if it's the Carson McDonald's that has some special contract. The burgers were fresh. This is the weirdest thing ever. Like
I've worked in McDonald's.
I know. This was. I think they did something with their beef because Kelly and I got burgers, and they were so fresh and so juicy, and they looked like they were formed out of real meat and not frozen stuff. And I was like, did they switch to like never frozen like Wendy's or something? But they had grill mark. Like they were good.
Weird.
And I was just like, McDonald's? Hello?
Yeah, because usually it looks like it's so compressed that like there's nothing beef left in it.
Yeah, so I don't know what magic that McDonald's in Carson is working, or if that's a standard thing now, but that was a really good burger, so.
I'm remembering.
Thank you so much, Ray. I'm trying to make it how I
You
want. You are so nice.
Like a decade ago when the lightsaber fights were a thing.
Mm-hmm.
How our go-tos after those were always either In-N-Out Burger or the Taco Bell over in Sparks.
That's fucking perfect, Ray. Thank you so much. That's exactly how I like my coffee. I see we're both the same kind of basic bitch.
Sugar.
Me too. Can't go that far though.
This one feels like if I put all my weight into it, it will just collapse backwards.
Don't do that. That would end very badly for your back.
Yeah. You don't want to make it worse.
She's cured!
Yeah, right?
It's like, oh god, no! Wait, I can walk again!
It's like that episode of Futurama. I'm Dr. Farnsworth, and like I'm just like so broken that I see everything positively.
Mm-hmm.
What a lovely day, the birds.
Oh my god, James, I love you so much. I already loved you so much to begin with, James, but that just made my goddamn night. So if you are listening, James/Magnar/Con, you amazing individual. That is so awesome, and I am going to show everybody in the studio here in just a second, and we will also have to put this in our Discord, because James from Andromeda Adventures is an incredibly skilled human being in so many different things, and especially when it comes to computers and computer graphics and just being awesome with projects. And we just got, I believe, our first piece of non-cast commissioned art, fan art, of your guys' ship. And that is absolutely just so cute and sweet. And thank you, James. You make us feel so loved. And once Jillian gets back here in a second, I will show it all. That's so cool! Joe, do you actually have a mic over there when we're doing break, or are you just like trying to talk over ours?
No, I just talk loud and something will pick me up.
Oh, okay.
I sound faint and distant, which is, my existence.
Oh, wow. That got real all of a sudden. All right, I will put this up on the screen for everybody, and then I will run really quick, and then we will jump back in here in 1 second as I drink my delicious coffee made by my favorite furblog.
Here, it's told to hydrate. Drink coffee.
Yep. It is hydrating, god damn it. All those memes on the internet about, bisexuals and shit, coffee is still hydrating. Look at this shit. Ray. This is what James just made us.
Whoa.
Wait for it. Wait for it. You see the sparkle? James made that because James is a goddamn wizard. Wait till you see, once Andromeda Adventures launches the upcoming Star Trek stream, wait till you see the incredibly beautifully rendered intro of our ship done in high def that we're gonna have. Now I'm super selling it, but we got shit working up for that.
Nice.
So, but yeah, that is what James just sent me and said fan art of the ship, and isn't that beautiful? I love the way that you see the sparkle, and then the camera reorients, and you see. That's so pretty. Thank you, James.
That's cute.
Is that the PDT Dragonfly?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, okay, I actually don't know that because I didn't send James the art for it, so I doubt it is. But James managed to make it look perfect.
It's
so
a bigger ship than ours is, but that's
That's what I was wondering that too, but I was just like, let's go with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, technically, James, with nothing to compare it to, you're setting the precedent, so there you go. Since it was the closest he could find.
In one sort of way, yeah.
It's just gnomish.
Mm-hmm. The Dragonfly. The troublesome gnome Eerie.
You're a troublesome gnome.
I've been hookers. And they're typically correct. So.
Smoked sausages on sourdough buns with extra sharp cheddar on top, and after a certain point, adjectives are really what I look for when I'm in a meal. Like that sounds so good. I don't even know what it would taste like going all together, but like, you got me.
Yeah, that sounds delicious.
I had to suffer McDonald's.
We all have to stuff for McDonald's from time to time.
I planned to get here early, and lately, Mythical Family has been playing Conan Exiles on our private server. And right before I was getting ready to go, we were like this far from a global purge, which means you have to defend your. It randomly, it's a replacement for PvP because it's a PvE Care Bear server.
Okay.
So as you do things, as you kill things, as you construct, there's sort of a progress meter that builds up, and at a certain point, the world goes, what are you doing? And sends an attack at one of your fortresses, one of the places you've been building, and you have to defend it. And it was right before I was getting ready to go. It's like, purge happening! Like, So I didn't have time to actually get any real food, so...
Sustenance or sustain the world?
Well, we did. There's 3 fortresses we're building. There's 4 of us playing, and the wife and I are building one place together, and the other guys have their own fortresses, and you never know where it's going to hit. It's random. So it could be our half-built place that Riva has been pouring her heart into. It's friggin' beautiful. It's going to be amazing when it's done. But we're not building it to defend anything yet. We're like, we put up walls, we're going to put some stalls here, we're going to pave this area. You know, it's like, here comes an army of scorpions. It's like, no! Because if you don't defend them, they will start smashing the stuff you're building. That's the point. So, it wasn't ours, thankfully, but yeah. It's about time to go. Purge happening in 10 minutes. Oh, shit.
Did you just shut down the server?
No, we could. We could. Eric, pull the plug! We can turn purges off. It's part of the game. It's just the timing was bad.
Yeah.
And the timing resulted in me getting
Sometimes that's what happens.
Speaking of
It is.
purge,
Speaking of purge,
our DM's trying to purge us.
how am I trying to purge you?
Rock underwater.
It's not. I don't control this stuff. It just happens to you. What are you talking about?
You're right. Let's go.
There's like a fish to check anyway.
I mean, yeah, you guys have a literal shark girl with you that can breathe underwater. You're fine, right? You all may die, but she will carry on your memories.
We need a lava boy.
Say what?
We need a lava boy.
Yes, you need a lava boy for your shark girl. Yes,
I want to see them get a bit of strength.
right.
Fucking Genasi.
I don't know if you guys heard it, but I like what Joe just said, which is, I want to see the drowners get frustrated trying to drown Sonny. She won't drown, what the fuck?
I already did it to myself once, sorry.
Whoopsie.
Dog piled on her, she's just standing there indignantly.
Yeah.
Are we done with this yet?
Yeah. All right.
We're just like a drowner.
We have, some of us have caffeinated, most of us have hydrated, and we are ready to jump back in for the last hour or so of our Prismatic Dragonfly episode tonight. So we already have the mics on. We'll go ahead and flip the cameras on whenever. Don't need a countdown. I'm all right.
Because you're live.
Oh, good. Well, hello there. They just love pushing that button back there that makes the cameras flip on, don't they?
They do.
It's true. It's true. It's true. Well, thank you for sticking around with us during the break. I have lovely coffee made by that adorable furblog over there, and we are ready to get back into the last hour of our episode. So, you guys were still kind of catching up with each other after you went and chased your own individual leads in the Tavern of Layla. So, please resume planning at your leisure. I believe Cass was just kind of explaining about your noon appointment that you have made at the Wicker Witch.
Yeah, so I mean, I suppose if like we need diving equipment, we could go try and fire that.
There was a general store we walked past on the way in. I didn't have the time.
Yeah, blood claw supplies.
I think that was it, yes.
That sounds well to me.
It sounds like a family-owned dwarven establishment.
Sure. Or someone who was on the seas long enough to get an epithet, you know?
Bloodclaw. Yeah. Yeah, let's go. I mean, we can do that. That'd be the. I mean, we're trying to be smart, right? So like, this is prep. Um. Anything beyond that, or do we just go after that?
I think then we go after that. We need to act decisively. As it is, we don't know how long Jess has been gone. That probably would have been a good question. So there's probably a
It sounded like she left this morning.
Right.
so there might be some haste that needs to be taken.
That's reasonable.
To blood clots. To blood clots.
All right. So you guys exit the tavern owned by the lovely half-elf that you've briefly talked to and who kind of waves at you on the way out. Lyra gives you guys a goodbye wave and notices the bag of gold that was left for her on the table by Vander and kind of goes into shock momentarily as you leave. The town seems like it's waking up just a little bit more here in Hawkesbury after you spend a little while at Lyra's establishment. And you trace your very short amount of steps down the street to Bloodclaw's Supplies, where the door is flung open, as it was when you got here. And through the windows, you see a wide variety of just standard everyday gear. I wouldn't say adventuring gear by any means, but you see piles of ropes, and you see a standard adventurer's kit hanging in the window. You see a couple oars. You see kind of wax-sealed foodstuffs, and you think a very small health potion in the window, but you step inside, and it's a very small general store, packed to the brim with all sorts of things. There's a tiny counter in one corner, and behind it is an elderly-looking half-orc who has a very worn pair of silver eyeglasses on and a red and white apron. He seems like he's focused on a stack of papers as you come in, and you just see a hand kind of wave in the air as he continues to pore over whatever he's looking at.
Start looking around for diving gear.
Diving gear.
Sure. Spelunking, probably.
So looking around, you definitely see a lot of things for meant for life at sea. You don't really see snorkeling gear or anything of that gear because in D&D that's all you're really going to find. You're not going to find like a diving suit or anything unless you're possibly like in the anomalous conglomerate and maybe it's something the gnomes cooked up. But as far as you can tell, you don't really see anything meant for diving underwater in here.
Life vests.
There are some crude flotation device, yes, stacked up in a corner. They do resemble life vests or kind of, what the hell is the name of the thing I'm thinking of? It's the circle you throw off the ship. Nobody judge me. Lifesaver? Cool, that's what I thought. Don't judge me. My brain is need more coffee juice and didn't have ADHD medication. Be nice. Kind of a lifesaver or two. Very crude, though. You do notice that in the window where you saw that potion that looks like a small health potion, there's a variety of potions in a couple different boxes. They're not really labeled or anything. There's some potions, but beyond that, you got a couple life vests and lifesavers-ish, but nothing else that you've seen so far.
I'll go up to the shopkeep. Like, hello, Master Bloodclaw, is it?
You can just call me Heck, but yes, that's my last name. How can I help?
Hack?
Heck.
Okay. We find ourselves in need of possibly going into the water and surviving.
Are you going after Jess?
Yes, we are.
Oh, I'm so worried about the poor thing. She hasn't been seen since the morning, and I'm sure she's going out there. And even though the legend's probably not true, I'm worried to death about the poor thing.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry, legend? Just about the drowners, right? Nothing more.
The Legends of Drowners Rock and the Drowners, yes.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure we weren't getting anything else. Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty scary legend all of itself, but it's a legend, but still stuff of nightmares.
Oh yeah, we know. But do you by chance have anything that's going to aid us in this quest to save Jess?
I don't really carry weapons or spells or anything if you're going to be fighting.
I think that part we have handled.
Oh, then what do you mean?
Anything for like breathing underwater, not drowning?
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive this. Old orc, again, sadly, we don't carry that sort of thing. It's a little bit too magical for my store. Most ships typically have a cleric with them or something to provide that kind of magical aid. We do have some flotation devices that might be of use to you, but my advice would be go during low tide if you don't have someone that can cast something like what you need is a potion of water breathing, but we just don't have those. I haven't seen a potion of water breathing come through here for trade for a very long time, but if you had someone that could cast that, otherwise go at low tide, which is now until a little after midday.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Do you want the flotation device?
I do. I really do.
Good polite saver.
It's not going to really help you when actually diving.
I mean, we're not diving. It sounds like we're going into the cave. The cave just floods.
Oh, I see. If anyone's gonna get knocked unconscious, it's probably gonna be me, and I'd like to just make sure I don't fall face down forward.
Remember, I can do a lot of reviving.
Unfortunately, that's very consoling.
Let's get you to,
One lifesaver, please.
Of course. And he'll help you out with it and even wrap it for you in some nice brown paper, and it's only 10 silver.
Sonny, pay the man.
You are capable of carrying some of this gold.
I assume someone pays.
Yeah, I'm from the party.
All right, so you've obtained one lifesaver. What else are you going to do?
thank the man kindly and head out, I assume.
Please make sure Jess is safe and that she gets back to town. We've only known her a little over a week, but we still care deeply for her, and I want to make sure she's okay and not beating herself up for something that was out of her control.
Absolutely.
We'll do our best.
Thank you.
Maybe we need to speed up our timeline here.
Oh, yes. Probably the hurry before Lothar becomes not low.
Yes, that would be a problem for the rest of you.
Yeah. So let's go fetch Barris and tell him we're leaving now.
Goodbye.
Make a round of, as you step out of the shop, make a round of perception checks for me, please. Nothing special about the modifiers or anything else like that, but just perception checks, please.
15.
15?
You like a 9?
Oh, honey. You need a new set of dice.
You have a big fan of you,
17.
17?
13.
13? And sorry, Dylan, you said 15?
Yep.
So you and Sonny, as you're coming out of Heck's shop, remember, very small town in general. And as you walk out and just kind of take a deep breath of the brine-filled air and get your bearings before you turn around to head back, to the previous location that you were just at, Lyra's Tavern, the two of you glance out over the dock and just kind of your eyes pass over your ship before you head back to the Wicker Witch, and you see the distinct blue hair of somebody on deck kind of wandering around. So at least she's up and about, you think.
Xander, Scylla is up. Maybe you should go check with her.
He's immediately.
You
It's
know
like-
where we're going.
It's like the cartoon, just a little like poof of dust in the air. That monk can move when he wants to.
I have a base movement speed of 50.
Exactly. That's why you get the cartoon poof. So Vander takes off for the ship. Are you all headed back to the Wicker Witch?
Yeah, we have to start making arrangements for the rowboats.
Okay, so you guys head back to the Wicker Witch, and when you enter, Yanya waves at you behind the bar and is seemingly in the middle of talking to the captain of some ship that you haven't met yet. Still kind of flamboyantly dressed, just like the other captain, Captain Crows, but this captain you haven't seen yet. But anyway, she's in the middle of a conversation. Your angry dwarf is still at the bar, though.
Hi, Barris.
Hey.
So we have been advised that it'd be best for us to go while it's low tide. So can we leave? I will buy your drink.
Well, I already paid for it, so you're going to have to give me a little bit more than that. And I didn't think you'd actually care about when you showed up there, because she's probably dead already, even if she's out there, so tide's not going to matter much. But
At the very least, we can better recover a body and a boat.
I saw what your fancy little furry friend dropped on the table for Yanya over there, so I know how deep your pockets are. So what about 100 golden would go?
Sure, fine.
Consider it done. He throws his beer back, and I almost threw my coffee in my face. Would have been great. He throws his beer back and hops off the stool and just trundles right out the door.
Open this door.
You're not there.
This door.
We're gonna get him for this, right? This is.
Do we condone thievery now?
We condone thievery against this man, yes?
He's helping us get to the rock. We will figure things out from there.
Give me this a rowboat.
Okay, I'm sorry. And that's why we're not tempting the gods by stealing it.
Yet.
So you guys follow after him?
Yeah.
All right. So as that's happening over at the Wicker Witch, you speedily make your way back to the docks and your docked ship. And not that it's hard to see either. It's not hard for either of you to see each other. So as you get near the docks, Skalea waves at you and from the distance, and she's leaning heavily on the kind of mast at this point, it looks like, when she sees you, and then she wanders over under the guardrail of the ship and then leans on that, and you quickly make your way over and up the gangplank, and as you step back onto the Dragonfly, she looks just like you would expect. She's still wearing kind of the loose fit clothes that she wore yesterday when she got on the ship and was helping you guys rig the sails up. Obviously, the clothes are really wrinkled because she slept in them. She has a bit of blood on her cheek, like she bled again and wiped it off herself kind of thing, and she just looks extra pale, which is saying something because she's pretty pale to begin with. But she's got a bright smile on her face, and she immediately walks over to give you a hug, and you notice, actually, perception check. Because I just love making you roll dice tonight. 14, look at that. How much is your perception modifier? +2? Okay, so it actually was a somewhat decent roll. Okay. You notice that she's swaying on her feet, in a way that she's in control of, like she's drunk almost, but you see, instead of, someone walking over to you, it's bap, 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 kind of like a drunk person would be staggering. And when she reaches you, she goes for a hug and just slumps against you with her full weight. And she goes, "Hi.
How are you feeling? Are you okay?
I have a really wicked headache, and I don't know why. Did we get drunk last night or something, and I forgot?
No, we just...
I had some really fucked up dreams. I don't know about you."
I didn't sleep.
Oh.
In the manner of speaking, well, apparently three of us had nightmares.
She looks up at you while hugging you.
2 of them had the same nightmare. What was yours about?
Oh.
Was it about a boat and...
creepy dead people and girl getting sucked over the board and big storm and just being on that boat for hours and hours by yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, I had that one too.
Maybe not the hours and hours by yourself, though. You seem to, from what Creed described, loop in your nightmare. And that's why you were stuck asleep for a while.
I looped?
Something like that?
Oh.
I have very...
Does that explain the blood?
Yes, I would assume so. He said something about the way you healed and how you're not fully healed yet from what happened in Florsheim.
What happened? Oh, the sending with Matilda?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I know a lot about certain kinds of magic, but whatever did that to me was still one of the scariest things I've ever encountered, and it still feels like there's a piece of my head, my brain, missing after that. So,
Maybe.
I mean, I guess, but yeah, it was a really, really bad dream, and I felt really nauseous, and eventually I woke up about 30 minutes ago or so, I think, and I spun off the bed and slammed into the ground. When did I get on the bed?
Actually, right before everything happened, I put you there.
So that wasn't a dream. That was you doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. But I crashed into the ground and woke up, and I had some blood on my face. I thought it was just because I rolled off the bed like a klutz. But then none of you were here, and we were docked, and I just kind of was getting the lay of the land. Didn't want to leave right away because of how nauseous I feel. So, what's going on?
So ever since the nightmares, there was this ghost that was there, and they were like, "Please help my shipmate, she fell overboard, which is the lady in the dream, and with the red cat or something. And her name's Jess. We found her, sort of. We heard about her. We're going to find her now, and hopes that we call this ghost saying, help us.
From now on, Ray is recapping every episode. That's that. Who help us? Who help us? That was brilliant, Ray. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. And Scalia is nodding and just kind of like making a few like screwed up faces as she watches you talk and goes, okay, that's not what I expected in the slightest, but it makes the really hyper-realistic dream make more sense, at least.
Anyways, I'm very glad you're awake. I was worried you weren't going to wake up, and I'm very happy to see you, and he's going to give her a kiss.
She doesn't have time to be embarrassed because of how quickly you kiss her, which is probably a good thing for that poor girl and you. And she just kind of melts into the kiss and gives you a warm kiss back and just kind of lingers in the hug as she smiles, like very drunkenly at you as you pull away. And then she goes, wait, where are you going now then?
We're going to go save Jess.
Oh,
Or try to.
normally I'd ask if you need help, but I don't really feel stable on my feet.
Yeah, don't worry. You could probably wander around this little village. It's really nice, I think. They have great bread.
Is there a bakery?
Yes, it smells so nice.
That's what I keep smelling then. That's not just the brain damage. I'm gonna have to go try some of that then. Are you sure there's nothing I can do to help?
There is one thing you can do to help, and it's go downstairs with me really quick, and I'll make you some tea to help your migraine.
Thank you. But seriously, and she turns to walk with you kind of thing. I have scrolls with me. Is there anything I can do? Just...
You have scrolls of water breathing?
Are you planning to go underwater?
Yeah.
What it... You know, it's probably going to take you too long to explain, and I trust you. No, I don't have spells of water breathing, or scrolls of water breathing. I can cast that, though, as a cleric.
How does that spell work? And I assume this is all happening...
As you're taking her downstairs to make some tea, and yeah, she's kind of needs to lean on you, especially for the stairs, but when she's downstairs, she can bounce off the sides if she needs to with her hands, and she goes, ooh, it's been a while. It's a ritual. I need 10 minutes, and you can do a group of individuals at the same time, and 10 people, I think, is the version that I know. So if you can get everybody that you need to cast it on, and don't mind me wiping some blood out of my nose if it happens again, I can cast it for y'all.
How long does it last?
I think it's an hour, as far as I can remember. No, 24 hours.
Nice. That's excellent. Ow.
I'm glad you asked. Were you planning on going, all of you were going diving without water breathing? I mean, Sani, obviously, but you?
Yeah. I mean, I can hold my breath for a good amount of time, but we plan to go...
Monk
during-
training? Okay, makes sense.
During low tide to help with the minimum breathing of not air.
That makes sense.
That's funny.
I think it works for him.
It does. No, it's wonderful. Key
You
point.
drowners, it's not gonna work on anybody.
Yeah. To file away with the many things Vander doesn't understand, she's not bright red for some reason. Again, and you don't know why. But she goes with you into the kitchen area and sits down while you make the tea. But she does confirm that she can cast water breathing, and it sounds like it might be a version that can help you all out. So,
After he ensures that she gets some tea in her to help her migraine.
and she like does the thing of like burying her face in it, letting the steam wash over her nose and her eyes, and she's just like, "Oh my god, yes, I needed this." Hasn't even drank in it yet, but just loves the steam for the moment. And she goes, "Thank you."
Of course.
If you get everyone and give me like 5, 90% sure I can cast that spell.
Okay.
95.
We'll be back then.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Okay, I'm gonna just stay here with this tea because this is wonderful. Thank you.
Of course. And he'll pat her on the shoulder before we're running out.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in a hurry.
our wonderful little monk just going pew, 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 around town. All right, so you will get out on deck probably around the time that they are headed towards the beach/dock area with the angry dwarf way off in the distance, not waiting for you guys or anything. We'll meet you near the rowboats, but you see them all in the distance.
Cree, everyone, I have a solution for your problem.
Self-confidence.
Magic.
What?
Sick can cast water breathing.
She's awake?
Jeez.
Okay, I saw her,
I
but
was waiting.
no, sorry.
No, I was waiting for you to. I was waiting for you to. I thought you were going to say she's a witch instead of she's awake.
Yeah, this brain fart. Like, no. Sonny saw that already. It's like, she's doing okay? She can cast?
Yeah, she just has a migraine.
Okay.
So, we can take a moment to meet her over here, and she'll cast it for us. It'll last 24 hours.
That's amazing. I don't need this. I throw the lifesaver away.
Can you swim?
I go back and I get the
Kind of.
just in case.
Bring them all down.
Okay. By the time you get back to the ship, only a few minutes later, of course, but still, by the time you get back to the ship, as soon as you all start to trundle down the stairs and make yourselves known, you hear her familiar voice call out from your room and say, "In here!" And when you come downstairs, not only do you smell that Vander has yet again made another delicious batch of tea that is floating through the air, peeking into Vander's room, you notice, one, the strewn elvish blankets everywhere on the bed, and then you see Scalea kneeled in the middle of the room, and she's got two different colors of chalk that she procured from somewhere. It must have been from her bags. One is gold, one is silver, and she's actually got a white one bit in her jaw right now, between her teeth, and she's been drawing runes over your whole room. And it looks like a crazy person's room, because the entire floor and two of the walls are now covered in really beautiful looking rooms, and she just kind of looks up and she goes, and like gestures for all of you guys to come in. And then she like pauses, carefully moves on her knees and toes to one side, finishes a gold circle, tosses that one on the bed, does the same with a bit of silver and a bit of white, and then tosses those on the bed, and then brushes her hands off and slumps down and grabs the tea that it has like barely a sip left and finishes it off and goes, "So water breathing.
That is very impressive, actually.
Thank you. It's really the long form way of doing this, and I don't typically do ritual spells that often, but it's kind of pretty when you do it this way. It's the way I was taught to make sense of the whole thing with the different colors. I need the aid. So, for memory, at least. Do you need water breathing? Do you want water breathing? I mean, you can still be involved in the spell if you want. Like, I just didn't know if it matters for you or not.
If I can assist you, I'd be happy to help.
No, I would normally welcome the help. This one's pretty simple and straightforward once I have the runes down. But, I don't think it'll really do anything to you. But you don't need to leave by any means. So, have you ever had water breathing cast on you before?
No.
Oh, well, you're in for a treat. It's actually a really fun spell, and one that's really fun to see people experience for the first time, which is not the point of any of this. You have to forgive me and my headache. So you're going to have the ability to breathe underwater for up to 24 hours. It lasts 24 hours, but you know magic, it always gets weird in the last 10 minutes or so kind of thing. So no guarantee on that last 10 minutes is 24 hours, standard. You will also maintain your normal mode of respiration. So you really are all becoming little Sonnies for a little bit, because you will be able to breathe in air and in water. The weird thing, though, is if you've never breathed my head underwater before, it's a little weird, because you do actually in the water, and it's gonna hurt and sting for the first couple seconds, if that, but then immediately the magic is going to take over, and it's gonna be like breathing air. You can open your mouth, you can go through your nose, however, kind of thing. So you're fine, you won't be hurt. There'll be that weird second of awkwardness transitioning between air and water each time, just a couple seconds of coughing at most. You'll get used to it really fast. So. Questions? I mean, it is. Once you get used to it, it's actually really fun, to say the least. So I think potions of water breathing are a pretty common commodity in a lot of cities that I know, especially in Arlia. We have a giant bay and a lot of shipping and a lot of beachgoers as well. So, no questions?
This is cool.
I think it is too.
Much better than the alternative.
All right, then, here we go. And she smacks her hand down next to her on the runes, and all the runes lose their individual chalk colors and light up bright, kind of blinding blue for a couple seconds, and you hear her whispering something in some unfamiliar tongue, probably just her version of however she casts her magic, and all the marks on the walls and the floors evaporate into blue sparkles of light and then vanish, and all of you just feel reflexively, you take a deep breath, and otherwise, you're normal, and you wouldn't think anything else happened. And she just looks tiredly up at you all as she takes the last swig of tea and then realizes she had already taken it and just kind of looks at the glass. That should do it.
Keithus, I know it's not a great morning for you, and I appreciate you making this effort.
Honestly, it's something good to distract myself with because, yeah, my head, I want to rip my eyes and my brain out of its skull right now. So the tea, and this was a good mental exercise to keep me distracted. But as long as I wish I could help you all more right now, but I need to lay back down and sleep. So let me know if you need anything. Send a sin. You can't send sending, can you?
I can.
You can send me a sending if you need something, and I'll make sure to come. The cavalry, whatever is best I can.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Of course. Good luck.
We should be back soon.
Hopefully. If you don't come back by the 20-hour mark or so, I will come looking for you. So I'm sure my head will be better by then.
We will try not to make you do that.
Please don't, because then if I don't show back up, the entire wrath of the nation is going to descend upon this small port town village thing, and that would be funny.
I'm not going to.
She looks loopy. You're as you're watching her, Vander, especially you're kind of almost wondering about the quality of the spell for a second because you can tell how cross-eyed the poor girl's going.
Oh gosh.
Just get that kettle.
Getting some rest, yes.
Yeah, I will. I that tea was great, and I'm just gonna go to bed now. And she just rolls over on her knees and climbs back up into the bed and thumps her head down on the pillow, and she looks exhausted.
Hold on that tea then. Shall we?
Let's.
Have fun storming the castle, he says into the pillows as you all leave. All right, so where are you guys going?
To the boats.
Yep.
To the boats. Barris. Yes, so you can easily start back off your ship, the Dragonfly, down the docks and over onto the beach, because where Barris is waiting for you is not on the docks. It is on the beach where those 30, 40 rowboats had been pulled up past the high tide mark. And he is standing next to a rather large, it's seen better days rowboat, but it's outfitted with oars that are actually built into hooks on the side, and it has seen a lot of duty and still seems like it's going to hold up for the time being. So he's pushed it down to the low tide line and is standing next to it, just kind of drumming his fingers, looking off into the distance as all of you head over.
Thanks for waiting.
I don't really have a choice. You're paying me, but sure. Ready?
Yes.
We're ready. Yes.
All right, get in. And he waits for all of you to get in before he, in an interesting show of strength, grabs it and just flings it into the water like it's nothing, and then jumps in as it's sailing past him. Makes his way up, moving, shouldering past y'all to the oars, and starts rowing, and you make quick time out of that bay once he settles into kind of a rhythm that is probably very familiar to him at this point in his life. So you get another look at the bay, this time a bit slower than when you came in, and you get to see it in the light of day. And those lighthouses, as you go through the entrance to the bay, they are truly a bit of a marvel. They definitely seem like they were built with some kind of science and masonry that, is hundreds of years old, but they are gorgeous. They're ivory. You can see the weathering on all the stones on them. And even in the growing daylight in the bright morning, you still see the lights shining at the top. And you think you catch a glint of crystals in both. Perhaps enchanted crystals or something that are provided in the light that is even able to somewhat show in the light of day up there. He is very quiet, except grumbling under his breath, of course, as he's rowing you out to Drowner's Rock. After you leave the entrance to Hawkesbury Bay, you start to head down to the right as you're going out, to the right, yes, down the coast, and immediately Drowner's Rock is present. It's in the distance, and it'll take you a little bit to get there, probably 10, 15 minutes or so, but you saw these on the way in, and now you're getting a much closer look, and again, with more light. The rocks that make up Drowner's Rocks are kind of jagged obsidian that looks like it's been smashed again and again by possibly ships and weather over many years. You see some bits of bright pink near the bottoms of the rocks where it looks like the coral reef that everyone mentioned might have been in the past. These are probably just the remnants of it or so. But as you continue towards Drowner's Rock, you noticed that the tide does seem like it's still lowering. You haven't hit the lowest point of tide yet, so you did choose a good time to go, and it's probably a good thing that you made him take you at a much earlier hour than initially proposed. So, as you get close to it, though, Drowner's Rock rises from the waves like a cracked gray fang standing maybe 40 feet proud of the waves. It's ringed by half a dozen other spires of stone, though none are quite as tall as like this main rock that he's taking you towards. As the boat, piloted by your grumpy dwarf, draws closer, you can make out a black hole in the side of the largest rock that looks like a cave entrance. And right now, the cave entrance is probably a good foot or two above the lapping waves. So once the tide starts to go back up, it's going to start leaking into that cave pretty quickly. You can't really see much deeper into it right now because of it's on the side opposite the sun, but it's obviously a cave entrance. And as you get closer, two things immediately catch your eye. One is there's a set of mooring rings nailed into the rock just below the hole that looks somewhat fresh, and someone's already taken advantage of one of the rings, which is being used to keep a small red rowboat held fast against the waves. And as soon as that damn thing comes into sight, the dwarf, he stops rowing and sees, I knew it, just took my fucking rowboat. And he seems even more enraged as he rows the boat faster towards there. And as soon as you get close, he spins it around and latches this rowboat to one of the mooring pins and jumps on the other one and starts to inspect it to make sure that it hasn't been damaged.
Is everything well over there?
Yeah, she didn't punch a hole in it or anything, thankfully, and it's got all the oars in it still, so, I mean, I guess it's no worse for the wear. I can lash it back up and drag it back with me, but no sign of her. Not that I expected as much.
We can bring this boat back as well as soon as we're done.
I mean, I trust you all a hair more than that, bitch, but I can stay out here until tide comes back up. If the tide's coming up and it's pouring into the cave, I can't really do anything for you at that point. I'm sorry, but I'm heading back. But I can stay here for an hour or two. This place doesn't scare me that much, at least in the bright daylight, and when the tide's this low. So get back within an hour or two and I'll be here. Otherwise, I'm taking both my rowboats back.
Fair enough. Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Thank you.
Of course. Good luck. And you can see he goes to start to work to lash the red boat to the rowboat to the green rowboat just to prepare for their future. But you guys can easily kind of jump up and scramble up the few extra feet of rock into this cave entrance without needing any kind of checks or anything right now. It's pretty easy to do it. Just takes you a minute or two.
Cool. Take a moment to disrobe enough to where we can dive, I assume?
Well, I'm fine, but...
Well, there's also nothing that's underwater that you know of yet, because this seems like a cave that goes inside. It's been underwater before, and at high tide it will be completely flooded, but for now it's not.
Out.
Yeah, it drains out. So for now, I mean, you can disrobe and get ready for swimming in the future if you want, but right now there's nothing that you can see. So,
Yeah, we'll do that.
okay.
Keeping my armor on as long as possible.
Understandable. So, as you guys kind of step into this cave entrance, you got a good 10, 15 feet before it expands out into a rather large-ish room. And this room is definitely rough-hewn from the rocks and looks like it's been chipped away at over the years by the elements and probably some tools of some sort. But what's really immediately obvious to all of you that were at either it's obvious to you if you were at the Thunderpad incident in Orishire with Sani's temple, because it kind of reminds you of that. It's not a temple to Sani's gods, but it's a flooded temple kind of thing, and this obviously was a place of worship at some point. And from the little bit that you can make out on the walls, there's even some mosaics of waves and sea creatures that are hidden by grime and lichen and other things that have started to grow on the walls. But it's pretty pitch black in here so far, so you guys are just relying on the bit of light sneaking in from outside / those of you that have dark vision and stuff like that. So, but as far as you can tell, it is a former temple of some type, and your feet are hitting like little pools of water, seawater and stuff like that. And there seems to be a deeper bit of water in the middle of the room that you think you see things bobbing in, like debris and stuff like that. So
I can just press the digitation, light a torch.
so you light a torch. Everybody make quick perception checks for me.
Keep rolling 12s.
You do.
21.
21?
7.
7?
22.
So everybody except Kree, which once you point out, Kree will be able to notice. But you all notice that once Sani's torch light flickers to life and kind of starts to illuminate the room a bit more, there is a body of like oddly still water in the middle of the room, and there is debris floating in it. But there's also 6 bodies that are wrapped in sailcloth that are just bobbing there. Different sizes, different shapes, but they're obviously wrapped in ripped up sails for some reason, and they're distinctly humanoid bodies. Additionally, the 3 of you notice that there's some sort of raggedly dressed, bloated creature that's knelt down by them that is sewing up one of the bodies and the sailcloth around it with their back to you.
Oh, that's actually kind of sweet. In a way.
No.
Oh, it's a sort of burial.
More a transformation from what we've heard.
Oh! I take it back.
I feel like Jess might be in that sale. I take it Jess is not the horrible creature.
I mean, from the distance, you're pretty sure that the thing doing the creepy sewing is a drowner. It doesn't have Jess's hat, and it doesn't look like a woman with long brown hair. It looks like some kind of a bloated creature, but yeah.
Just going to sort of put this creature in any similar out of its misery, or are these things
That's a good idea, yes.
Yeah.
These things are malicious.
on it? Xander's gonna summon his arms.
Summon his, oh, his astral arms. I'm like, you already have your arms, Vander. They're attached. The porcelain arms. Vander has porcelain arms. But
Casting Shillelagh on my back.
all right. Well, the thing hasn't noticed you yet for some reason, so
Our initiative.
Yeah, I am running up and I'm going to take a swing at it.
okay. Well, then you're going. So we're gonna let you do that attack first. Then we'll go ahead and roll initiative. So go ahead and tell me how you're gonna do this attack, and give me a roll.
All right. I am.
The first time you guys have hit something in a long time, or
Yeah.
tried to hit something.
Probably tried for me.
It's been a minute.
I think you have a good chance at hitting a drowner.
Yeah.
What's your plus minus? Like, what's
Plus
your
6.
plus 6, boy? Come on.
I think I have like 3 hits. But
Yeah.
that's how it works. So
24 to hit.
24 to hit. You hit. So you run up behind this grotesque creature in the middle of its odd ritual and just land a solid hit on the back of its skull. What damage do you do?
10 damage. Wait, piercing. But it's magical because I have Shillelagh.
Okay. All right. So it's going to be how much damage total? 10? It connects, and it doesn't seem like it, hits it any harder than you expect, sort of thing, but it hits, and it just goes and roars in kind of a very despair-filled way, and tumbles back and quickly jumps back to its feet into a position of being able to actually respond to your attack. And as it howls that despair-filled sort of howl, 2 more of them climb out of the water. And at first you're like, oh crap, it's more of the drowners, but you notice it's actually the things covered in the sailcloth. And even though they're completely covered in the sailcloth, they're still coming out of the water, and you see half rotted hands pop out of the sides with claws on them. And we're going to go ahead and roll initiative.
it all rolls out.
All right, that is all of the bad guys. So we haven't done this in a while, so it's good. 15 to 20.
17.
15.
17, Cass. 15, Sonny. 10 to 15.
13.
13, Cree. And what are you at? 5? Honey. Honey. All right, 1 second. So it's going to be Cass at the top of the order. So Cass, you had that amazing opening, and you're still in the thick of it, and you get to go first.
Okay, I am going to use my bonus action to do ensnaring strike. No, forget that.
Okay. Forgot.
Wrathful Smite.
Wrathful Smite?
Yeah.
Okay.
So another swing that is. It was like a 9.
9 total. Misses. So the drowner is able to just kind of dodge out of the way, and it goes over its head.
I am going to. I'm just gonna chill here. This is
Okay. No bonus action, anything else?
Oh, my bonus action is casting Wrathful Smite.
That's what I thought, but just double check. All right, Sonny.
Alright, so we have the one that Cass already hit, and 2 that are climbing out of the pool, but obviously have like the rotted limbs already.
Yes, and they are fully out, and they are ready to attack. So they have completely exited the pool at this point.
I am going to Eldritch Blast, and at this point, that's Tentacle first. So that shows up.
Everett's Black
Drowners.
Tentacle. All right, is it Everett's? Is that no? It's
No,
not.
so Tentacle's a separate thing. So
That's what I
Tentacle
thought, yeah.
appears first.
Okay, so the tentacle appears. Your spectral kind of tentacle takes place next to the monsters.
Yep, and then my Eldritch Blast can actually be 2 attacks now.
Okay.
So this is going to be 3 things, because first the tentacle does an attack.
Mm-hmm.
Which is going to be a 12.
Hits.
Okay. That's 8 cold damage. For 7.
7. Okay. And that's just one of the 2 that climbed
one
out.
Target.
Okay.
And then the Eldritch Blast is going to be the same one that just got hit with a tentacle, and the one that Cass has already hit once.
Okay.
Which will be a 17 and a natural 20.
Hit. Hit crit.
Alright, so that's going to be 1d4 plus 4. For a 10.
Nice.
And then the crit rolls a 10.
Very nice.
So 14 damage before crit.
Very nice. So you all see, even though it's been a while, you see the very familiar spectral side of Sonny's, the tentacle that she can control, burst up out of the ground / space and time next to these monsters, and it lashes out at one of them, connecting easily. And Sonny follows up with the trademark blast of Eldritch Blast that has the green sort of sparkly in a way magic that Sonny has that lashes out and smacks both of the targets dead in the chest. And speaking of dead, it destroys and shatters one of the ones in sailcloth completely. It just crumples to the ground in a pile of bones and dust and slime. The other one that Cass already hit definitely takes the full brunt of the Eldritch Blast, but is still hanging on just a bit. All right. Anything else?
No, I feel like most people are already between. Cass is already between me and the other creatures, so I'm probably good where I'm at for a minute.
Yep. Cree.
So there is the one that Cass hit, and then there's one more.
Untouched.
I'm gonna shoot the one that's wrapped in the sail. with
Okay.
the crossbow. Hey, 20,
It definitely hits.
and I'm gonna hope that psychic damage affects this. I'm gonna expend a point of bardic inspiration to add 2d6 to the damage.
We shall see.
And I'm just gonna put all of Kree's self-doubt in their sense of like offensive abilities
Oh,
into
God.
a negative
That's a lot of power.
damage.
That's a lot of power there.
13 points of damage. 15 points of damage.
15 points of damage. So remind me, this is the crossbow that you had made in well, you didn't have it made in Orshire, but you bought it from Haman.
Crossbow warning, yeah.
Yes, and did you have special bolts in that, or is that normal crossbow bolts?
Right now I'm using normal bolts.
Normal bolts. Okay. So yeah, you take aim with that, and this is the first time you shot it like a living thing. Well, not living, it's undead. But it's the first time you shot a bad guy with it, right? Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you steel yourself and you take that moment and just breathe out and pull the trigger, and you watch that crossbow bolt rip through the stomach of this thing and tear it in half and scatter it across the floor as you one-shot it.
Nice.
So very, very well shot. Anything else on your turn, Kree?
I believe in you to finish it off. Then I give you another point. Oh wait, I don't think I can use Bardic Inspiration in addition to the attack. So never mind.
I don't believe so.
I still say that, but it doesn't do it. You got this.
So next up is the original target that is still standing that Cass hit, and the Drowner kind of like puts an arm up to block an incoming blow and does that kind of howl that it did originally, but this time the howl continually extends from it and fills the room with that kind of eerie sound. And you all watch as a sickly yellow light that reminds you of the one in your dream starts to form above its head, and everyone must make a wisdom saving throw. And you all have to make it with disadvantage. Because you're close enough to the Drowner, because everybody is... Well, actually, Kree and Sonny don't, sorry, because it's within 10 feet you have disadvantage. I'm assuming you two aren't within 10 feet. I'm assuming you both are in this really quick, dirty combat scenario. Yeah, so you two, so just Vander and Cass have to roll... Well, you roll with disadvantage, you guys still roll.
Okay.
17.
17?
I rolled a 1 and a 2.
Honey! Honey! What the... Okay, so noting that, continuing.
19.
19?
13.
Everybody but Ray! So, all right, so Vander, you fight it, but are almost immediately drawn to that light forming above the head of the Drowner, and at first you feel fear as you're taken back to descriptions of the dream and everything like that, but then you just kind of lose sense of reality and disassociate a little bit and start wandering towards it. And you wander over and like right up to it, and it attacks you. Okay. So it's going to make its attack. It's the first time I get to hit somebody in a long time too. Oh, look at that. 25. All right, so it's going to lash at you with its claws, and it is going to do probably not that much. Actually, 7 damage, 7 slashing damage to you as it just kind of across your chest. Gotcha. And that will bring you out of the spell as well once it does damage to you. But you like reawaken as your chest is being ripped open by this creature and it slashes across your fur.
Owie.
Not great.
Owie. All right. And then it's your turn.
Hey, I'm gonna punch it a lot.
Make it so.
You know what? We take that. Natural 20.
Oh, there it is! It only took all night to get one. So you hit, you crit.
Mm-hmm.
Get it, girl.
17.
17.
And then a 15.
So what does it look like when you utterly obliterate this thing?
Oh. Of course, it's all 3 hits are gonna be like a, I don't know, what's the game? Azure Wrap.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm aware of the reference.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So
I know where
it's
you're going with this.
quick, like not even a second between them. 1, 2, 3.
Just and yeah, you all watch as you actually haven't seen Vander hit anything in a long time either. It's been quite a long time since Vander's ever hit something in front of you. In fact, I don't know if Vander... Well, no, you landed some hits on the head, right? I'm pretty sure you all landed hits, so that's the last time. But you watched Vander as, I would say, unless you tell me otherwise, both porcelain arms pop, pop, and then one of the astral arms, and this thing gets evaporated. And suddenly you're just standing there in the quiet of the cave.
I know you brought up a Cirrus Wrap. We would have also accepted JoJo's Bizarre Adventure here.
That's...
Yes. I'm sorry.
We didn't get to a because it was just... So. But yeah, so you obliterate it, And then you're just all standing there in the eerie quiet of the cave with the bobbing of the bodies in front of you.
There was one I was working on.
I'm going to run over there and open up the sail.
It's not sewn shut yet.
Yeah.
It looks to be a rather old dwarf gentleman with a face that you haven't seen before as far as you can tell, and definitely looks like he's already well under the way to becoming some sort of undead thing. Already dead, being turned into undead.
How many other bodies are in there?
There were... 2 came up. There's... Sorry, I'm just making sure that I keep the right count. There's 3, because there was 5 and 2 came up. So 3 more bodies. Open 1, 2 more bodies, 3 total.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make short work of it. The other 2, you do recognize. They're not Jess, but they are faces that you remember seeing on the ship, the idle hands, running around the deck and screaming for help and trying to figure out what was going on with the multiple lights in the distance. And one is an older human, and one is a somewhat young elf male, it looks like. They are also dead and decently on the way to becoming, if not already, undead. Not currently conscious or doing anything, but you can see the kind of rotted flesh and absent look in the eyes that are glossed over, that they are most likely have been dead for a while, probably a week and a half, and they have probably undergone whatever conversion the drowners have done to these poor souls.
You'd probably do better at blessing these bodies.
I mean, I can't do anything about it, but I can do like symbolic.
It might be enough.
Yeah, I can't like concentrate or anything. I will offer up a prayer to the Xiphoid for the, rest and protection of these fallen individuals.
Yeah, go ahead and make a religion check as you just give a, even if it's just a prayer to help them on their way, it's still something that you can do for them.
I'll give you advantage. I also sort of.
Oh, dear.
Would that work?
It's a bad one.
Thankfully, it is just a prayer. So you offer very heartfelt words to the Xiphoid and do your best in your prayer. As far as you can see, nothing happens, not that you expected anything to happen with your prayer, but you still pray over the bodies, and the intent is still there.
Sorry,
That's what cat sounds like, yeah. Yes.
I don't know why.
Yeah, Beetlejuice. And as Cass is kind of whispering this very well-intentioned prayer over these bodies, you all kind of get to take in the rest of the room, and it is very much a temple that's been abandoned for a very long time, and the rich mosaics wrap all the way around the room, even though you can barely make them out under all the stuff that has grown on the walls or has settled on the walls. And you notice there's one distinct hallway that continues down into Drowner's Rock, and you swear in that moment you all hear a human scream drift up out of that long passageway that just extenuates the air as Cass finishes her prayer. And on that note, I think that's where we're going to call tonight's episode of Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern. And we'll have a bit of a cliffhanger for next week as you guys are all at the entrance to Drowner's Rock and just dealt with your first drowners. And some, obliterated them. And, I mean, somebody should feel much better about their crossbow skills now, so.
Yeah, it's really gonna hurt my my psychic damage.
Yeah. Well, you're going to miss every shot from now on, so, yeah. Damn, that's rough, bud. Yes, that's the prayer. That's the prayer, Sleepy. Damn, that's rough, buddy. Rip. That's the Nat 1 prayer.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. If you're somebody that stuck with us for a long time, thank you. We love you. If you're somebody that came over from the raid tonight and stuck around, so awesome we got to meet you. Hope you had some fun watching us on our fun little D&D adventures. If you're from the Dromedar Adventurers, our amazing friends, which you should go check out. Love you guys. And go check them out in addition to our different socials, especially especially our Discord, come over to Mythical Family, where we create inclusive, diverse spaces for gamers of all types. And last but not least, if you are in the Northern Nevada area or don't mind traveling to that area, we're going to be at RageCon here in Sparks, Nevada at between June 30th and July 2nd. Here very shortly. It's getting closer and closer day by day. And you can come join us at one of the biggest board game and TTRPG conventions out here on the West Coast during that time. And our friends from Andromeda Adventures, some of them will be here as well. In the meantime, though, hope you had fun hanging out with us. Hope you have a great week. And if you want to see what happens in Drowner's Rock on next episode of the Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern, we'll be back here Sunday, 7 p.m. PST for the next part of that episode and the next episode of PDT, the Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern. So, in the meantime, have a great night, and we'll talk to you later. And if you don't mind, stay around for a few minutes because we're going to pass that raid love on, and we will be raiding another small community member here in just a minute. And if you stick around, especially for a minute or two after the raid, it helps boost their numbers. You might meet someone brand new that's now your favorite creator on Twitch. You might make some new friendships and stuff like that, and it's just how we all help each other grow on Twitch. So stick around for a minute if you can. Give some love to this other streamer. But in the meantime, we will see you next week, and have a good week. Bye!